The Comcast Business Studios, 97.5, The Fanatic. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Don't worry, we'll talk about the 2-12 Sixers today. But you know what?
Let's talk about something more positive.
How about a breath of fresh air?
After Connor, we need it.
A conversation that I had with my buddy last night that made me smile, and it's not something that I thought about until yesterday.
Okay, I love this.
It is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
We're talking NFC Championship game now, right? Like, there's no other discussion. If
Nothing
you're
less.
not having that conversation, there's just something that's completely scaring you.
You're in a beautiful platform for where you're at. A great night at the stadium. It is a great day to be awake.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Thursday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
And a good morning to you. How you doing, buddy?
I am lovely. I was not under attack yesterday.
Yeah, I'll get into that later.
All right, so
The worst research show ever will be answered.
Wow. Sixers lose last night to the Grizzlies. We'll get into that coming up around 6:10.
And your buddy puts you in a good mood.
So that's what I want to start with.
I love the fact that because I've got people in my life that I know if I pick up the phone, I'm going to feel a little better.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're good people.
Well, now this was face-to-face.
Oh, it's even better.
Yeah, I was with my buddy Jack yesterday. He had to pick something up from my house. So he stopped by.
Jack 1 or Jack 2?
Jack, I have 12 Jacks.
I thought you had 2 Jacks.
There's too many Jacks.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
Jacks.
Best men?
Connor has met 6 Jacks that are in my life.
It was a very popular name.
So our buddy Jack's over yesterday. Of course, what do? We talk life and then we talk sports.
And then you had a beer.
Yes, during.
Told you.
And so he said something to me that I had to sit down and think about. He said that he's in cruise control with the Eagles.
Okay, what do you think cruise control? Did he elaborate
Yes,
on
he
what
did.
that exactly means?
He did. He's basically I'm going to close my eyes, and the Eagles will be in the NFC Championship game.
Wow. Wow.
And I know that sounds crazy.
That's bold and beautiful.
But you just heard the open where we're saying we're talking NFC Championship game now, right?
Sure we are.
Now, we're saying that we expect them to get there. We're not saying that it is a lock to get there. But again, you guys have to understand, John and I do this for a living, and so we don't just wave pom-poms. We also unpack everything. We
work mornings.
we listen to every critic. We read every critic.
Yes.
And sometimes they make points that we go, you're an idiot. Sometimes they make points where we go, all right, that's valid. That is something to keep an eye on. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick the other day, after the Eagles beat the Commanders, he said, look, my concern with this Eagles team is if they're playing from behind, will they be able to come back and win? Can Jalen Hurts throw them back into games? Because this winning streak has been a run-attack offense.
Okay.
And if you're down 14-0, 17-0, let's just say you have a pick six happens, right? And the other team scored on their opening drive. You're now down 14-0 in a blink of an eye. Can they throw their way back into games, right? So we have to unpack all that kind of stuff. My buddy's an Eagles fan, right? He's not an analyst. He's not an insider. But he always looks at things positively. He says, look at the rest of the teams in the NFC. Are you legitimately concerned about any of them other than the Lions, who you would not have to face until the NFC Championship?
All right, Cardinals 3 seed? Not really, because if you play them at home. Falcons 4 seed, you shouldn't have lost them the first time. Vikings, you know how I feel about the Vikings. Packers, mild concern.
Mild concern.
Commanders, I'm not concerned if it came down to a playoff game in Philadelphia. Rams, Seahawks, 49ers. 49ers, I think if healthy, they would scare me more, which is
that's
crazy.
The team that
which is crazy because they're the 10
dead.
seed.
Right, they need to be dead in order for me to sleep completely soundly.
They're the 10 seed right now. Rams, Seahawks coming into Philadelphia in January. Mild concern at best.
Yeah.
At best.
So he's in cruise control to the NFC Championship game, but he's also in cruise control with the team. He feels very comfortable with Jalen Hurts, right? Like he thinks if the car is in trouble, Jalen Hurts will be able to take the wheel and drive them to safety,
Okay.
right? Because of how cool and calm he is.
On a 1 to 10, your confidence, your comparison to Jack about how he feels about Jalen Hurts. I'd put myself at like an 8.
Yeah, I'm
putting myself at like an 8.
I'll go 6.5.
Okay, you're a little lower than me, Connor.
Yeah.
I'm at 7. I'll split
Okay,
the middle.
you sort of fall in the middle. Like
Way
it
to go.
is,
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm
problem.
Politician
pretty
that you
comfortable.
are.
No, I'm pretty comfortable there, and that's pretty consistent with where we've been all year.
And then obviously the weapons offensively, the offensive line, the defense is ridiculous. The coaching staff. He has his thoughts on Nick Sirianni, but
Okay.
Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore. And these are all things that we've talked about all season long. But because we do this for a living, we're not just looking at it one way. No agendas on this show, John.
Yeah, we have no agendas here.
We don't look at this thing one way. We do have to take in all the other stuff. We talk to people that are on the other side that are saying that Jalen Hurts stinks and that Nick Sirianni's going to blow this thing up. And
We try to talk them off the ledge, but
we hear it.
we hear it.
And sometimes they make logical points. So he's in cruise control. Now, it's not just because of the Eagles.
Well, why is it there?
Right now, we are doom and gloom with the Sixers. And he's like, dude, I don't have any of that emotion toward the Eagles. And think about it. Do you have right now any emotion that you feel for the Sixers right now toward the Eagles?
No.
Exactly.
No.
So
I mean,
when he
even,
says
like-
it, I go, dude, you might be on to something.
No,
here.
is your sports affected by that, though? Are you, as a sports fan, if the Sixers are off to a bad start, does that make you double down more of your emotion, more of your energy towards the Eagles?
Well, no, sometimes I just go, man, it's nice that I'm not complaining.
That's where I'm at.
And for the last couple of weeks, we haven't done much complaining about the Eagles because Nick
No.
Sirianni has not done dumb things in game recently. Jalen Hurts has played better, despite, obviously the first half against the Commanders and Cowboys can't happen against better teams, but I believe him to still put together 4 good quarters of football. You have immense talent. You have Saquon Barkley. Like, I know that if I need a play made by Saquon Barkley, odds are it's going to happen. I don't feel that way with the Sixers. I need a big shot. I don't feel that way right now with the Sixers. I need the team to come together and be honky-dory. I don't feel that way right now with the Sixers, but we talked about it last week. I love that this Eagles team seems to be together. You see the celebrations that they're doing on the sideline or in the end zone after an interception. I see them having fun. I see them happy. Dave Zangaro mentioned the word vibes. Connor was out that day. The V word is
the
back.
Vibes Day?
Yes, the V word is back. Dave Zangaro wrote a whole story on it.
And today's Garrett Stubbs Day. We got to find out about Garrett Stubbs today. So
Yes.
Vibes Day. This is Vibes Day.
It is Vibes
Could
Day
be the
again.
end
How
of the
about
vibes
that?
for one. Okay, I get this, and I get the premise you're going with. I would ask you, are the vibes good because you're winning?
Well,
Now,
always, yeah.
last year we talked about it, and we talked about it with Adam Schefter yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
At 10-1, the vibes weren't good. But as a fan, are the vibes good with you because they're winning? I'm surprised at the amount of people that have been so negative on the Eagles at 8-2.
Oh, we've heard it every single week.
I'm surprised at it, but I don't think it's anything like last year.
No.
I think there was, to me, there's a lot of people are feeling good about the Birds. And that goes to their coaching staff, that goes to their players, that goes to the, everything about it is they're just so damn solid
yeah.
that the Eagles, whenever they hit a pothole, so they could be driving on City Avenue out here, they could be on the Schuylkill.
Name a road in Philly. They hit one.
When they hit a pothole, I've never seen a professional organization that rebounds from potholes better than the Eagles.
Yeah.
When they fire a coach because they've had a crappy season, they hire a new coach, usually to a lot of criticism, and then next year they bounce back and they win. They make the playoffs.
Connor and I have never seen a rebuild in Eagles franchise
And-
history. Retooling, but never a rebuild.
And to me, in a salary cap sport, that may be the greatest compliment you could ever give.
It's amazing, isn't it?
You can buy your way out of a bad baseball thing, and that's what Steve Cohen's doing in New York.
Yeah.
Buying himself out of it when Juan Soto puts on his jersey. It's going to be buying him out of it. But in football, you got to be better than everybody else. You got to be able to sustain. And the Eagles are just on a level that no other franchise in this town is on.
So when you hear my buddy, thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks for the content. I'm in cruise control with the Eagles.
It's
Is
a
the
strange statement, though.
And it's funny, like,
Does he not ride? Okay, let's say they were to lose to the Rams 24-23 on Sunday night.
I'll revisit with him.
No, but is Jack the kind of fan? Is he the kind of fan that on Monday morning that entire tune changes and he's up in arms?
No, he's a pretty positive guy.
Okay.
And that's why I made sure to say a couple minutes ago, he is an Eagles fan and always looking at things in a positive light. So he might be over positive for all I know when it comes to this Eagles team. But when he explains it, usually when we talk to people, sometimes people make the mistake. Like, you guys got to understand, again, we do this for a living. So when we come with an opinion, we have information to back it up or beliefs to back it up.
Well, it depends on what show you're listening to.
There are some people that will call in here. If we're being critical of Jalen Hurts, right?
Right.
They'll call in and say, no, he's great. And then we'll ask why. And then there's no reason to back it up. Or if I say Joel Embiid's great, and then somebody goes, they can't win with him. And I say, why? And they go, well, just because. Not good enough. I need more from you. My buddy Jack, he legitimately gave me reasons. Like, he didn't just say I'm in cruise control with the Eagles, like, because they're winning. It's look at the teams behind in the NFC, and you just did it.
Right.
There's not really a team that you're going, oh, got to worry about them. And when you look at the landscape of Philadelphia sports, yeah, the Eagles right now, I don't know about the future of the Phillies. The Sixers are scaring the hell out of me, and the Flyers in a rebuild.
Well, I mean, like Jeff Lurie was mocked for the gold standard thing.
Yeah.
He's delivered the gold standard of Philadelphia sports franchises in the history of this town.
And he's delivered a gold standard in the NFL.
Right, I mean, but he
unfortunately,
still
it's just
is,
been one Super Bowl.
Right, well, the thing is, I think to get to the gold standard, he may be at the silver standard.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You need more championships to say you're the gold standard.
He's
in
on the podium
but
now.
in this city, what Jeffrey Lurie has built, that franchise, it's the gold standard for any franchise that has ever operated in this city over a generation. He has given us a generation plus of really consistent being there and performing. I love the fact that Jack has that positivity because I've learned to trust that with the Birds too. That they whenever they step in it, they just find a way to step out of it.
Right.
And I'm impressed by that.
And look, they stepped out of
lot.
it this year.
They did.
Like this year, they stepped in it and stepped out of it. To, the criticisms of the head coach. Right, I hated the offense the first 4 weeks.
No question.
Jalen Hurts struggled the first 4 weeks of this season. There was a lot of confusion with the offense the first 4 weeks of the season. The defense was the only side of the ball where we were like, hey, you guys keep doing what you're doing. So the Eagles stepped in it this year. And then the Week 5 bye, which was the best thing for this team, changed everything.
And then the coach has his meltdown in the Cleveland game on the sidelines, then the daycare at the press conference and everything. And the owner and him have a little kibitzing together. And you know what? And to the credit of the head coach and the leadership, that seems to have righted itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, that's all you can ask as a sports fan, that there are going to be ups and downs. But when the downs are going on, they don't become downward spirals that crash into crash right into the ground. They find a way to pull themselves out of it. And to me, it's what I think it's what I admire most about the Philadelphia Eagles. And I love that Jack brought that positivity because, honestly, we need it right now.
So
this city needs it right now.
Quote, I'm in cruise control with the Eagles.
I can't. That's just a strange concept to me.
He's under the impression that after Thanksgiving, now I'm ad-libbing here.
Okay.
You eat the big turkey, you get the tryptophan, and you fall asleep.
Is that real, by the way?
I don't know.
I think so, scientifically.
But you wake up, he thinks he could wake up January 26th, which is the date that you've been telling us for. It's to the point where I now remember the date.
Yeah, you have plans.
He believes that he's going to wake up January 26th preparing to tailgate either in Philadelphia or somewhere at a house to watch Eagles-Lions.
I think Jack is a very smart guy.
610-632-0975.
I think he's a smart guy. You hang out with some smart people.
Yeah, well, they hang out with a dumb one. All right.
What
Sixers.
does Jack do for a living?
Physical therapist.
He's a physical therapist, so he's actually smart, too.
Yeah.
He knows kinesiology.
He knows what the hell he's doing.
Very good.
All right. Sixers. They lose again last night, so that lock 2.5-point line did not
it didn't work out
did not hit on any of our respective apps.
Yeah, I didn't bet it. So.
I did.
They
34 cents down the drain.
They lose 117-111 to the Memphis Grizzlies,
who are not a good basketball team.
So the Sixers lose. Joel Embiid looked better.
No question.
Mobley, too. Not just 35 points, 11 rebounds. I saw him actually defending the paint. I actually saw him jumping.
You saw him in the paint for the first time this season.
Yeah, so Joel
in his fourth
Embiid,
game.
Let's get the positive out of the way. Joel Embiid looked better.
The
ramp-up period is officially over, John.
I think he went to one of those those things you watch on TV. We were just talking about it the other day, where the guy comes up and hits you on the forehead, and you get up and you start dancing. You limped up to him,
or Mr. Miyagi. Did the
that
clap?
could be. Yes.
It's the knee, right? He had to fix the knee. Anyways, Joel Embiid looked better, but that's it. Sixers lose. They fall to 2-12, league worst in the NBA. Here is something that I would like to address. And trust me, no, this is not a na-na-na-na-na, I told you so moment.
What is it?
This is not a nose up in the air. This is not a you should start listening to us more.
What is it?
There is backlash, John, doing this job when you discuss what I believe are logical concerns.
Yep.
Through 14 games this year, every logical concern has come true when it comes to the Sixers.
List them.
Joel Embiid would not be ready for the start of the season because playing in the Olympics would not be beneficial to him.
Yeah,
that happened.
Yeah,
and people debated that.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You and I were we were
Lockstep.
walking in
We were
line.
in lockstep on this
But
one.
there were people that debated it. That, don't worry, he'll be fine. He was not ready to start the season.
Nope.
A logical concern.
I knew it. I predicted it and knew it.
This is more so me. You've heard me say it. If Tyrese Maxey has to carry the team, I love him. He's not a carry-the-team type player. The start of the season once again proved that. Logical concern. Not me hating Tyrese Maxey.
No.
He's a max contract player. He's not Allen Iverson. Logical concern. Let's bring in a bunch of guys that haven't played together. It might take some time for them to gel.
That is absolutely played out.
They're 2-12. Logical concern. And lastly, Paul George, the often injured player who stayed healthy last year in a contract year,
Shocking.
has now sustained his second injury of the season. It is the hyperextension of the same knee that had him miss the first couple games of the season. It doesn't seem to be a
stable knee.
Well, I was going to say it doesn't seem to be like some drastic injury where he's going to miss a lot of time, but I can't believe anything that Nick Nurse has to say at this point.
We can't.
Because Nick Nurse told us that Tyrese Maxey a couple days ago, we just took him out because of precaution, and then he ended up missing 5-6 games. So I can't believe anything that Nick Nurse has to say post-game at the podium when not having the chance to talk to doctors. Paul George is and has been an often injured player.
Okay.
It was a logical concern of mine and John's that signing him to a max contract at the age of 34 when he's an often injured player, and last year he was not because of a contract year, is a legitimate concern, not just because of he himself, but you're pairing him with an often injured Joel Embiid. There will be
two
times
guys who are going to have to be load managed.
Correct.
Going in, both guys were going to have to be load managed,
And we've said there will be times where both of them aren't playing. And again, it goes back to my opinion with Tyrese Maxey. Love the guy to death. I don't think he's good enough to carry a team, and he's going to have to at times this year because there will be times, just like the Cleveland game, when both Paul George and Joel Embiid are out because of load management. Now, Maxey didn't play in that
good
game.
enough yet, just by the way. 23 years old.
Correct. He might uplift his game, but he's not there yet, in
Right.
my opinion. I've not seen that yet. Every logical concern that you heard debate for, and I understood the other side of the debate, but every logical concern that was addressed on this show before the season started has unfortunately, we're not liking this, has unfortunately come to light. And that's why they're 2-12. And it doesn't look like that's changing anytime soon because yesterday there was no excuse. Joel Embiid finally looked like himself.
Yep.
You had Maxey back, albeit on a minutes restriction, and you lost to a meh team in the Memphis Grizzlies.
I wish I could paint any kind of surprise on my face. I can't. The Sixers are who I thought they were. And I wanted them to be
Not
better.
2-12, though.
No.
Yeah,
No, but the thing is,
2-12.
I expected Joel Embiid to this to backfire.
Yeah.
Going to the Olympics.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying the logical
and
concerns.
And all summer long during the, September long, during the ramp-up period, I came on this radio station and said, BS meter was going off the charts.
You did.
And I was right. I mean, it's, and I don't want to be right. I want to be talking about a team that's competitive, that works through their back. Right now, it's bad.
So, question for the Eagles. Are you also in cruise control with the Eagles like my buddy Jack, which it made me smile. Thank God we have something to smile about. But when it comes to the Sixers, are you fearing the worst, which is a dead season already in November? Quote, Joel Embiid last night, whoever leaked that is a real piece of bleep. That doesn't necessarily sound great.
Oh, but it was supposedly like that they're all giggles.
They liked, no.
Yeah.
They were
not
fine
good.
with the meeting. He was not
Yeah.
fine with the leakage.
Somebody
and once you
leaked.
start leaking, now all of a sudden you're getting problems. Are you fearing the worst that the season's already dead for the Eagles? Love to hear
For
from
the
you.
Sixers.
Sorry, for the Sixers, my bad. Also, coming up next, Jalen Hurts said something that I love, which is saying something for me because usually his press conferences are like, but he said something awesome yesterday that you'll love to hear. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The right mentality. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Popeyes. It's football season in Philly, so you got to have some grub. Popeyes has just the joint for any fan of the birds. We're talking wings, baby, so fly to Popeyes, fly, and fill up on wings in 7 delicious flavors. The Eagles are just a couple of days away from their cross-country trip to take on the Los Angeles Rams. Edge rusher Bryce Huff is set to undergo wrist surgery this week, putting him out for Sunday's game. We'll let you know how much longer he will be out. But Jalen Hurts talked yesterday about this time of year, not just about being healthy, but about having the right mentality.
I think it's not about all health. I think it's the mentality, where we are. And so that's in the back of my mind as we're in this phase and putting the emphasis on finishing strong, putting ourselves in a good place.
Well, the Eagles have put themselves in a good place with their current win streak. Unfortunately, we got to look at an injury report a little bit this week. And Devontae Smith, Milton Williams, and Jalix Hunt all also missed practice yesterday, in addition to Bryce Huff. We'll keep you updated on their statuses for Sunday night. The Sixers' nightmare start continued last night with a 117-111 loss to the Memphis Grizzlies. They're now 2-12 to start the season. Paul George left the game after hyperextending his left knee. It's the same injury that caused him to miss the start of the season. Not sure of the time frame for recovery yet. The Flyers fell to the Hurricanes 4-1 last night. Ryan Poehling had the lone goal for the Flyers. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 8 a.m. hour. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Now is the time to become a Fanatic MVP. Go right now to 975thefanatic.com/MVP and make sure you subscribe to the Fanatic.
Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. Are you in cruise control with the Eagles? My buddy Jack, I was hanging out with him yesterday, and he said it, and I was kind of amazed. Now, again, he is an Eagles fan. He doesn't do this for a living where we have to take in all the pros and cons of the team. He dives in, but his explanation to it, the teams behind them, the team itself, and how much better they've looked since the bye week. And if you look at the remainder of this schedule, Rams game, difficult. Ravens game, more so difficult. And then the Steelers will be a tough task, but we already said it. It's like 12 wins now. That was our prediction. That's the floor now, is 12 wins.
Oh, yeah.
Like if they fall short of 12 wins, then something catastrophic happened.
Well, we saw it last year. So you just whistle past past the graveyard. But four wins the rest of the way out of 7. If they go 4-3 the rest of the way, I'm going to tell you they have no chance to win a Super Bowl. They may have the cosmetic 12-5 record we all predicted.
Right.
But they will not be a team with this schedule ahead of them.
So you're expecting more 5-2?
I'm expecting a 13-win season. I had said that a couple weeks ago. I was like, and I'm glad I did the one little $10 bet to go over 12.5. Right now, 13 wins would be fine because I'm actually thinking one of those losses could be the last game against the Giants.
Yeah, if you're sitting everybody.
And Tommy Cutlets could come in and maybe cook them.
Yeah, he
could. For your last 5 at home.
His mom.
One of them being the Steelers. And we've seen the Commanders. The Commanders are a good team. They're a good team. The Eagles should be able to take care of the Commanders.
Yeah, but 4-3 saying they're not going to the Super Bowl. Like, let's say they lose a tight game to Baltimore, a tight game to Pittsburgh, and the Commanders have collapsed and you don't need week 18. Like, that would be 4-3. How you get there still?
You make a solid point there. So you're telling me tight loss to the Ravens, tight loss to the Steelers?
Yes.
Or what if
you're not winning a Super Bowl?
What if you?
I'm going to tell you now because those two teams are currently ahead of you in the pecking order in the NFL.
What if you win one of those games, but you drop one that you're not supposed to?
I don't like that. I don't like that. I think that would bother me worse.
Okay.
That would actually bother me worse. They're going to have to show me that they've got opportunities here to beat some good, really good teams that are actually considered to be ahead of them right now. They show me that, I'm going to be just fine. And I'll be fine, by the way, splitting the next two games. If you win, Rams-Ravens. If the Eagles come out of that 1-1, you will hear nothing from me about panic, worry, whatever.
Hey, W's and L's. I had win against the Rams, loss against the Ravens.
Well, then there you go.
So are you in cruise control with the Eagles, and the destination at least is the NFC Championship game? Because
the water's
perfect. It could
perfect.
go further. And
water's
look, I talked to him about that. I was like, so what about the NFC Championship game? He goes,
worry about that when we get there,
and
right?
he also said, dude, look, if they lose the Lions are a machine this year.
If they lost to the Lions in Detroit, are you going to be bitching and moaning like as a fan?
No, I'm going to be sad.
You'll be sad that they didn't get it done. But you're not going to be. And the big key is we keep talking about it. And our friends at Window Nation know these windows. This window for this team this year, if they get to an NFC title game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. We're going to be looking at saying they're set up on both sides of the ball to have a 3 or 4 year window.
Love that.
And Jalen Hurts going into his prime, other guys going into their primes. It's going to be awesome.
Are you in cruise control with the Eagles? 610-632-0975. Our Sixers question, are you now at the point where you're expecting the worst? Everything that was a logical concern has come to light through the first 14 games of the season. Paul George will miss another stint because of an injury.
Oh, boy.
Shocker. Joel Embiid was not ready to start the season because of the Olympics. This is what we talked about in the air. Tyrese Maxey has not been good enough to carry the team when healthy. A bunch of role players that haven't played together and haven't gelled yet, it's not working out for them so far. But so far has led to a 2-12 record. 610-632-0975. Now I want to play this. Because normally, John, Jalen Hurts press conferences are either a snore, what Hallmark card did you read?
No, I think it's the shirts at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Dick's Sporting Goods, thank you. Or he's somehow saying something about Nick Sirianni that gives us 2 weeks of content. But those days are behind us, it seems. So yesterday, I heard him say this, and it put a smile on my face because it tells me that he's adapting well, He's got the right coaches around him, and a logical concern that we had. We just mentioned the logical concerns of the Sixers. A logical concern for Jalen Hurts was another new offensive coordinator. His what? 10th in?
Yeah, it seems like it's a long time.
10th in 12 years, something like that. Here he is talking about the new offense and him being able to use some of his abilities. And just take a listen to some of the phrases he says about the coaching.
I think it has its place, I think it's a good issue to have. And I think for me, I've gone out there and done what I've been asked to do. And it's been cool for me to learn different ways of playing a position and learning different point of views of how they coach it and different philosophies and what they see and what we're trying to attack and execute. And so I always challenge myself to find ways to execute and win in any type of situation. That's a thrill I get out of that, and kind of to your question with all the different changes, all the different approaches, finding a way to figure it out, and get it going. And so, I know it's kind of by choice, when you're multiple, it's just a matter of having a good discernment to when to use those things and not use the different tools that you have. And so that's something I'm sure we'll navigate as things goes on.
And those tools, they talked about using his legs and throwing out of the pocket and in the pocket and pre-snap motion and being able to figure out the blitz because that's now his role because Jason Kelce is gone. But when you hear that, he sounds comfortable.
Yeah, he does. He's. How about this? Is Jalen Hurts, and we should expect this. As you advance in your career, you feel more comfortable with stuff.
Yes.
And you feel more confident. To me, he sounds like large and in charge.
Yes.
That sounds not mealy-mouthed, not wandering around, not wanting to say something. He knew exactly what he wanted to say there, and he said it.
You were out. It was when you were under the weather.
Okay.
Friday, leading into what?
It was Friday leading into one of the games.
Friday leading into one of the games.
I think it was the Dallas game.
Dallas game?
It might have been Dallas. Yeah, it was Dallas weekend.
So Connor was in your seat that day. And when I was driving in that morning, there was a clip from Sal Pal that was being played on the overnights. And he told the story about how since the bye week happened, Jalen Hurts had like a moment during the bye week where he became the CEO of the team. The players started listening to him more than the coach. And that was not a slight toward Nick Sirianni. It was just like the players looked toward Jalen Hurts. They talked to Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts apparently took it and has since ran with it. Because this was going into the Cowboys game. So it's not like Sal Pal was telling a story during the bye week. He was telling a story a month post-bye week.
And somebody has recounted that story
to Sal
him.
Absolutely. And so when I heard that, I was like, finally. That's what the franchise quarterback is supposed to do. Not finally in a negative way, but finally in like, we're here.
No, that's what it's supposed to be. And to me, good job, Jalen, on doing that. I am sorry it's not taking a shot. I'm sorry it's taken so long. And I wonder, too, again, and I asked Adam about it yesterday, I wonder if the Kelce Cox locker room, the legacy of the big names from the Super Bowl era, sort of squashed his ability to be the man.
Could have.
And
that's, again, no slight toward Kelce and Cox either.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's just that the big personalities are there.
Right.
They're there, and you understand it. And to me, it's when I look at that, I wonder whether sometimes that squelches other guys stepping up and being leaders.
Yeah.
Because the defense looks completely different this year. Maybe there's a different vibe because maybe guys are like intimidated to impress a guy like Fletcher Cox to make sure that, you know what I mean?
I thought you were going to say Vic Fangio.
No, but like they're walking. No, they're like walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
But you know what though? Maybe they also new teacher in the room. You want to show you're a star student.
A good teacher in the room.
A great teacher in the room. It really is. It's there's a lot of good.
But when my buddy says he's in cruise control, and then I hear that, I go, man, like I feel more comfortable with Jalen. Just, and I've always felt comfortable with Jalen. I just think I have different levels of standards and expectations with him than others, but I feel comfortable with him with his head on straight. That's never something that worries me, except for what happened last year. But, man, like when I hear that clip, I go, all right, he's comfortable, he's confident, and he's giving a lot of love to the coaching staff, which he couldn't do last year. He didn't do and couldn't do.
No, and maybe, and I've heard it from people saying maybe he had nothing good to say about people. I can tell you this. There's a lot of times where I've found something good to say about people that that it was a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, you say good things about me all the time. And
I do.
You're losing sleep over
Nick Sirianni. There's an overwhelming opinion around the Eagles organization that no matter what we say on these talk shows, that there are at least 5, 6, 7 things that he does really well as a head coach that his players really respect and that ownership kept him around for. And so I think that's a big deal. Jalen finally finding the value in his head coach, that's great.
It's been big.
And I'm sure that has required both grown men to step towards each other.
Good thing you have a great owner.
Instead of stepping away from each other, they step towards each other. And good, because I was tired of the childish antics.
Yep, absolutely.
Big time.
All right, so our topics today, are you in cruise control with the Eagles, where the destination, at least, it might just be a pit stop, is the NFC Championship game? And are you fearing the worst for the Sixers? Coming up next, we'll hear from you, but also Tim Legler was on with Scott Van Pelt last night at the Midnight Sports Center following the Sixers game. Buckle up. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
When it started out this year, we're going, use Liz feed.
6:47 on Kincade Salciunas 97.5, The Fanatic on this Thursday morning, a gloomy, rainy Thursday morning. So drive safely.
It was just you said you didn't even hear the rain last night.
I did not.
Me
no.
God, the storms came through Landview, and it was banging on the windows.
Do you sleep outside? You always hear
dude.
the
Every
rain.
time there's a storm, you have like Hurricane 5.
What's weird is I don't know if it's the elevation. I don't know if it's also the way they cleared out woods to build our community.
Yeah.
And it's like a wind tunnel. So when the winds start, you really hear it.
Yeah.
You hear it like a train. It sounds like a train. So be careful out there. The Schuylkill, you had a bunch of idiots driving.
Of course.
At like 75 miles an hour and through puddles.
I hydroplaned
stuff.
doing the speed limit today, so I can only imagine that fast.
Not good.
We're going to play you some audio from Tim Legler in a second, but real quick, dude, this is sad for me and Connor. I don't know how much for you, John.
Okay, tell me.
Tell
me why I'm old.
Around the Horn is ending.
What?
2025 will be the final year, or whenever they end it, of Around the Horn, which was one of the, 5:30?
Oh,
it was at
5 even?
5:30.
It was that and PTI.
PTI was after.
So it was at 5 and Around the Horn was
PTI
at
leads
5,
into Sports Center.
So
PTI was
Around the
5:30.
Horn ends after a 23-year run.
A year, but they're giving them a year send-off?
I don't know if it's a full year. It just says ending in 2025.
Okay.
So I don't know when. But that was one of those shows where, mom's getting dinner ready and you're doing your homework and bang, I had Around the Horn on, followed by PTI, which, by the way, well ahead of its time, and that's why it's so amazing.
See, if you told me like a PTI.
That I will be legitimately sad for.
PTI is one that to me has kept the quality level.
And they were well ahead of their time because it's 2 minutes. It's quick. Before everybody's attention spans plummeted,
right?
That show was already quick. And that's why it's still going strong. But Around the Horn, it's like a a bummer.
Let me ask you. How does the scoring system work in Around the Horn?
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
It's all
so
on
long.
Tony Reale deciding who gets what. I don't know.
Exactly.
But that's why it was fun for like a younger audience, I think.
It was fun
I haven't watched it in a long time because
I remember when it premiered and it was fun. And honestly, and I'll say it, it's going to be unpopular to some, but I say it. At some point, it became an echo chamber of everybody is going to agree on whatever topic that they do.
Okay.
And to me, that's where I was out.
Yeah, I just
look, like the Colin Kaepernick situation. I wanted to hear intelligent debate from some of these people on the issue and hear about it. And instead, it became an echo chamber. And I think that is where the show started to lose its traction.
Okay.
Instead of the good debate, where you hear people talking about all sides of issues.
I didn't watch Around the Horn for that though. It was more to watch Woody Page get muted and see what they're doing.
Well,
it was just
and that's when it was the
entertainment more than
Titans.
it was
the
information.
Woody Pages, Tim Calishaw.
Yeah, I mean, there was exactly.
About Tim Calishaw.
Is it Jeff Blackstone?
Yeah.
Those were the OGs, man.
Yeah,
I miss those days.
And they would get into some. Now the weird thing is Connor, we look at it different ways. You were watching it as a kid.
Right.
I'm watching it as a media member, and I would love it when they would get into the
Kevin Blackstone, by the way.
when they would get into the biggest debates and everything about the biggest issues, because I would learn something. I would learn. I would hear something and I'd go, okay, that guy makes a great point. I hadn't thought about that, because I try to go in open-minded as I can, and I would think it was a great way to learn. But I still can love Around the Horn.
Still sad,
I
though,
mean, I can still
23 years.
love PTI.
Yeah, PTI is the best.
Every once in a while, I'll watch PTI.
They do
and go,
a great job.
Okay, it's still that was pretty funny.
It's just
they
Will
make me chuckle.
Bond's hatred for Philadelphia is still.
By the way, it's real.
I know it is.
No, it's totally real.
All right. Speaking of totally real, what Tim Legler said yesterday may be totally real. He was on with Scott Van Pelt, speaking of ESPN, and he was asked about the Philadelphia 76ers. And I said it going into the break, buckle up. I hope you did so. You should be anyway, because it's raining outside. You should always buckle up while driving. But take a listen to what Tim Legler had to say about the Sixers.
I'm getting to the point where I'm not sure this is going to be survivable. And look, you saw it again tonight. Paul George gets hurt. Joel Embiid got hurt. It looked serious at first. He comes back into the game, so that's a great sign. But now Paul George is going to miss some more time. Same injury he had in the preseason. Tyrese Maxey just coming back. at some point, you don't just need to have guys out there that you expected. You need to have guys out there for a prolonged stretch so they can start to develop the kind of rhythm you need. They're not going to get completely buried in the Eastern Conference the way they would in the West, but it's getting to the point where, number one, I've lost expectation that they will stay healthy, and I'm also concerned about some of the things that I've heard from Nick Nurse this year that doesn't have to do with health. When he talks about getting outworked or a team being tougher, or when I interviewed him earlier this year when I called one of his games, he said they get dispirited very easily when things go against them in the course of a game, basically saying we don't fight through adversity very well. Those don't have anything to do with who's playing for you. So I am concerned that at some point you look at this and say, I don't care what you have at the top of your roster in terms of talent, if it takes this long to get it going, and who knows when we'll finally get all these guys out there for a while, it might not be a season in which you're going to be able to turn this thing around and become a legitimate threat.
Legs does a great job.
Yeah, he does.
And he watches this team closely.
He's a basketball guy. He's not a hot take ESPN guy.
Why did he believe that this team was going to be healthy, though?
I don't know.
That's the thing the only thing that I took out of that I found a little confusing was, I'm not even sure that I'm going to get back to the confidence that this team's going to be healthy.
Maybe
I never had confidence.
Maybe he was told about a plan.
Okay.
Look, he's
very connected.
Very connected. Maybe he was told about a plan, and we kind of scoffed at the plan, and the plan's not working, and Paul George is hurt again. But, Legs is talking straight up basketball there. He's not saying, a hot take, Stephen A. Smith.
No, he doesn't do that.
That's straight basketball talk right there.
That should scare all of us.
And there was not a single positive thing said about the Sixers.
No lies detected. That's scary.
So, coming up next, we reset the show. We hear from you at 610-632-0975. Our Eagles discussion that we'll expand on more. Are you in cruise control with the Eagles? And when it comes to the Sixers, complete opposite. Are you fearing the worst? Are you in cruise control heading off a cliff? It's Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Huff headed for surgery. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. It's Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Get matched with your perfect bed and save up to $700 on a wide selection of quality mattresses. See store for details. The Eagles, they're losing an edge rusher as Bryce Huff is heading for wrist surgery. He's undergoing it this week, putting him out for Sunday's game. We'll keep you updated on how prolonged his absence from the team will be. It's been an underwhelming season for Huff, but still you want as many guys as available as possible, especially when you're just a couple days away from taking a cross-country trip to face the Los Angeles Rams. The Eagles will play them on Sunday night. But Jalen Hurts talked yesterday about this time of year not just being about health, but also about team mentality.
I think it's not about all health. I think it's the mentality where we are. And so that's in the back of my mind as we're into this phase and putting the emphasis on finishing strong, putting ourselves in a good place.
Well, their winning streak has put them in a good place, but they'll need some guys to be available for Sunday night's game. Devontae Smith, Milton Williams, and Jalen Hunt all missed practice yesterday. The Sixers' nightmare start continued last night. A 117-111 loss to the Memphis Grizzlies, the latest in a long string. They're now 2-12, and to make matters worse, Paul George left the game after hyperextending his left knee. It's the same injury that caused him to miss the start of the season. The Flyers fell to the Hurricanes 4-1 last night. Ryan Poehling had the lone goal for the Flyers. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 8 a.m. hour. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bill Colarulo.
This defense, when you can play like they're playing, and then you come.
7 a.m. on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. A good Thursday morning to all of you.
Careful out there, please.
Yeah, seriously, with the rain.
Wet leaves.
I definitely have to do the 8 o'clock, have a safe driving to work message.
Yeah, wet leaves.
Yeah,
So
I
just be a problem.
hydroplaned doing the speed limit today on 76. So
Okay, that's not fun.
Just
Check those
be
tires.
careful. No, they're fine.
Okay.
I got them changed not long ago. It's just,
All right.
things
If you want
happen.
drift lessons, I got you.
Yeah, thank you, Connor.
Don't do it, but if you need lessons,
Thank you. Mr. Tokyo Drift over there. Yeah.
I've seen it multiple times.
There it is.
All right, so here's what we're talking about today. And coming up around 7:10, John is going to add to the Eagles' positivity. It's been a positive Eagles day today.
Well, what have the Eagles given us to be negative about? They're on a 6-game winning streak.
Well, exactly.
And it's one of those things where you say to people, that's where the sports radio cliches fall apart.
Oh, we love it.
When things are great, we talk about great things.
And
We
when
talk
things
about
are
positive
great, people
things.
want to hear positive
Exactly.
things. They don't listen when it's not as good.
Not as good.
That's why we need the Sixers to turn things
Come on,
around, if
Sixers.
I'm being honest. So here's what we're talking about. But at 7:10, John's going to talk about the on-paper matchup of Eagles-Rams. And for the second straight week, you should feel very, very good about that.
Yeah.
But here's where we started. My buddy Jack, I was hanging out with him last night.
What's up, Jack?
And he told me that he was in cruise control with the Eagles. And in case you missed it in the 6 o'clock hour, here were the reasons. It's not just that he's a diehard Eagles fan. That is number one, right? He's got green-colored glasses. So
That's fine.
let me put that out there right away. He's got green-colored glasses. Everything is good in the world when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. But right now, everything literally is good in the world with the Philadelphia Eagles. He feels great about the talent, but it's not just the talent. It's also the teams behind them in the NFC. You said this earlier this week.
Like, who are you afraid of?
Nobody.
Like, honestly, who are you afraid of behind you? There are teams ahead of us in the NFL that you go,
Well, and there's only one in the NFC.
right, only one in the NFC. There's only one team that stands in your way in the NFC that you'd go, there's only one team the Eagles would not be favored against.
Yeah. If they lose to any of the teams behind them in the playoffs, it's a disaster.
It is, especially if they're at home.
Right.
That game they
It would
lose.
be a disaster.
You're at home.
So my buddy Jack yesterday goes, look, I'm in cruise control with the Eagles. I'm going to wake up. If I fell asleep now for my destination, it's going to be NFC Championship Sunday, the 26th? Or is
Yep.
it Saturday?
Sunday.
All right. So January 26th, Eagles Lions. He's already expecting it, either in Philadelphia or in Detroit. And that's kind of going to be his mentality the rest of
Right.
the way.
That's where we're at.
Are you at that point? Cruise control with the Eagles. It's harder for John and I because we have to listen to every critic. When we watch games, we're not just watching for a win. We're watching for storylines. We're watching for things that could potentially hold the Eagles back. I was upset after wins this year. Cleveland, New Orleans, right? Even though they won games. And we would have callers call in and say, but they won the game. And that's all some people care about.
And last year, I heard the same thing, and it didn't. But the difference is this year, as I've said, I feel much better about this 8-2 team than I did last year's 9-1 team.
Right. And
I feel better.
And so for people that are saying, well, they're winning games, you're right. At this point, you are right. It's a 6-game winning streak, and things have been beautiful for the most part. Obviously, the head coach. We have to point out head coaching flaws,
Yes.
whereas some people just point out his record, which is true. The record is the record. It's fact. But we do also have to point out, yeah, but you can't go 0 for 6 in-game decisions like he did against Jacksonville, and that made it a 5-point game. Like, that stuff can't happen. But my buddy says he's in cruise control with the Eagles. Are you? 610-632-0975. And the Sixers lose again last night, and every logical concern that we had leading up to this season. Embiid not being healthy post-Olympics, Paul George being an often injured player, signing to a max contract, having to be the fail-safe switch with Joel Embiid, who was also often injured. Paul George will now miss his second stint of the season after hyperextending his knee last night in Memphis. The veterans that you bring together and you're hoping, all right, this team can
The Super Friends.
find a way to play basketball together. It's not just like Bryce Harper's Super Friends. You're in the box by yourself. When you're on a court, you have to be able to figure out how to play with one another, and they haven't done that just yet. That
No,
falls
they're
on
not-
that
they're
falls
not
on the
there.
head coach. It falls on Daryl Morey for once again putting together a team of a bunch of guys for a year. And I always hear the excuse for the Sixers, pre-Morey and Nurse. I heard this with Brett Brown. They didn't have enough time to play with one another. Heard that during the Doc Rivers era.
It's not happening this year. That is not an excuse that'll fly.
Because Paul George is now out. Joel Embiid has been out. Tyrese Maxey just came back yesterday on a minutes restriction.
And if Joel Embiid had done the responsible thing with his offseason, they would have had training camp to come together.
Yeah.
And then they would have been ramped up and ready to go in the regular season.
And then we played the clip from Tim Legler last segment. Everything he said was negative about the Sixers from a basketball standpoint, not hot take anything, just basketball. And then you get this quote from Joel Embiid last night when he's talking about the leak. Quote, whoever leaked that is a real piece of bleep, end quote.
Okay.
And I'm not saying he's wrong, but here's the problem.
No, I'm not saying he's wrong either.
That means there is something going on inside the locker room. If he feels comfortable saying that, like sometimes you hear, yeah, got out, I'm not happy about it, but, we had a productive meeting. No, that was his answer. Whoever said that is a real piece of bleep. That means his eyes are up. He's probably looking around. He probably doesn't necessarily trust everybody inside the locker room.
And there's so many new faces.
So many.
He doesn't know who he can trust. By the way, this is about the only thing that I will not rip Joel for. I agree with him completely. It's okay for his teammates to take him behind the woodshed and give him a little bit of whooping.
Like Tyrese Maxey did, yeah.
But it's not all right for everybody to let it out.
No.
That's not good. It's not cool.
And Joel Embiid's not happy with it, and I'm sure there are a lot of players that are not happy with it. Because
I would imagine Tyrese Maxey may be the one who is least happy with it. That it got out because it.
I think he comes off great in the story.
He looks awesome
No. Yeah, but I'm sure he doesn't want.
If he was a bad dude, which he's not.
No, he's not.
He would be the leak going, hey, I was the one that stood up to Joe.
Yeah,
but he's not a bad dude.
But that's Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green type stuff.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing. Joel's camp, no shot. It was somebody in the room.
It was.
And we got to figure out who.
Yeah. And
the question is, can they?
There's something rotten in Denmark.
Can they?
Something will, yeah.
Can they find?
They can.
You think they can find out who it was?
Yeah.
How? I've seen these things before. I'm not believing that it's very easy to find who they're looking for. They can have theories. Shams ain't giving it up.
No, he's not.
Buddy, this team, we'll find out.
They'll find, yeah, trust
the
me.
Sixers, we always find out.
Right.
There's always something with this team. So we'd love to hear from you, 610-632-0975. What do we have on the text line, Connor? I'll go to a call after that. And then the on-paper matchup, Eagles-Rams, John will make you feel very, very good, just like we did last week against the Commanders.
This is interesting from Mike from Phoenixville because we were talking about how the Sixers potentially affect your view on the Eagles and everything like that earlier. Mike from Phoenixville says the Sixers have literally ruined all of the other sports for me, and I hate myself for it.
Oh, my gosh.
The Phillies are slowly becoming the Sixers if they collapse again. I'm still really worried about Sirianni in the playoffs, and maybe it's totally unwarranted.
It is totally unwarranted.
Okay, I got to ask. How can the Phillies be the Sixers to you? The Phillies have given you a level of accomplishment 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
More than the Sixers have given you in a quarter of a century.
Yeah.
So I think that's a ridiculous.
Unless he's saying like the super team thing, because the Sixers have been buying players for the last couple of years, whereas the Phillies have done the same thing.
Yeah, but they're not. But what the Phillies have done is actually give you some return on your fandom and investment.
No, but I think it's more of a just it when it rains it pours type of thing. Like, I think he sees something going wrong with the Sixers, and he's like, great. Every time I see something. Like this weekend, my window got broken, and then my garbage disposal, my sink stopped working, and I got sick.
Got sick.
Oh, no.
So it's just like, that's how life kind of works sometimes. It does pile on, and when you have the Sixers, it almost feels like, okay, well, what's going wrong with this
life
team?
Life is a decade.
You got
with
a
the
landlord,
Sixers, man.
You got a landlord for that?
Yeah, they fixed it. It took like 10 minutes to fix, but it's just a lot of stuff happens
What are you putting
at
down
once.
there is what I want to know.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
that's my
that's
personal business.
That's impressive.
He's putting down.
All right, let's go to Dan in Central Jersey. What's up, Dan?
Guys, how we doing this morning?
Good, Dan. What's up,
man?
buddy?
You guys kind of just touched on it a little bit, but I think the thing that's gone under the radar a lot is how big of a failure the PG signing has been so far, even when he's healthy on the court. So if there's anybody that's happy about the whole Embiid saga that currently surrounds the team, it's probably PG because he's going under the radar and not getting much crap from anybody.
Yeah, I mean he's been a bit of a disappointment. Now I'm not expecting that to be the norm. Especially, I think he needs to figure out how to play with Maxey and Embiid. But here's the problem: he's now hurt again, and this is why I did not want to sign him. From a basketball fit standpoint, Maxey, George, Embiid works, but it's not just about fit. It's also about, can this guy stay healthy? You're already dealing with that with Embiid, and now you're going to deal with it again with Paul George. And Nick Nurse, with all due respect, when you give me the whole, he could have come back in the game last night, and then I hear that he's going to probably miss some time. Like, I can't believe anything that Nick Nurse says anymore.
I don't believe the franchise on injuries.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't.
That's
They've
fair.
given us a reason not to.
It definitely seems like a last-ditch effort by the franchise to not give up on Embiid in the process and try and pair him, because you're absolutely right. The three of them together, when they're all healthy, they work. Probably one of the best big three that we've got here in the NBA. But can they stay healthy? Can they be on the court together long enough to make the playoffs, or at least keep them out of the playing game?
Well, and you already see it. And Dan, thanks for the call, man. Like, I saw, I think it was Crossing Broad put out this tweet last night. Let me. Yeah, it was last night. The Sixers' big three have played half of a game together. They said they are 15 and a half games away from the Nets' big three of Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant.
Oh, my gosh.
Remember, they only played 16 games together, and they were spectacular in those 16 games.
No, they were.
But the Sixers have only had, through 14 games this year, a half with all three of them together. And now Paul George is going to miss some time. Embiid's going to have load management. Maxi's on a minutes restriction. And that's why I keep on asking, when does this finally click? I believe that this is a team that can work. It's just there's continuous. You mentioned potholes with the Eagles.
Yes.
It's like the road is gone when it comes to the Sixers sometimes.
And the problem is that I feel like, though, unlike most of the time, I think the Sixers are the ones making the potholes. Like, they're the ones creating their own potholes. Those comments from Embiid, too, just, Joel Embiid's lack of ownership just continues to.
Well, there was one clip where he did take ownership.
You mean at the end? After going in blame everything on me. It's all on me. Yeah, I'm the reason for everything. Hey, Joel, finally a little self-awareness. Yes, you're the best. You're the best player in the franchise. You're the guy. A lot's expected of you.
Yeah.
That's why $50 million a year is coming your way. But you keep playing the victim. I predicted it on Twitter. I've already had 3 people respond this morning. I predicted it the other day. I said, I know the ending of this story. At some point, he'll make himself the victim. That's all he does. That's what he does.
Yeah. And it's a problem because if you look ahead at the schedule, I touched on this yesterday, it's a pretty easy road the next couple of weeks.
It should be.
But the Sixers aren't good enough for me to say easy road.
And now no Paul George either.
Yeah.
Remember the January 5th number? That was brought up by the
they'll
other
have more
day.
still. They will have more than the
Okay.
Eagles.
I'm just telling you, Keith Weingard put it out there. On the morning of January 5th, before the Eagles' last game, before it, will the Eagles have more wins than the Sixers?
And we're thinking 12-13. So that means the Sixers
The
would
Eagles
have to win.
the Eagles will be sitting there probably with 12 wins on that day. Will the Sixers have 13? No. I'll tell you right now, they're not going to have 13. They're not.
They play some bad teams in there.
They're a bad team.
All right, hold on.
They're a bad
Hold on.
team.
So January 5th,
January 5th.
the Sixers have 17 games
Between now and then.
between now and then. So
they would
means
need to win 11 of them.
They would have to
They
win.
have to go at 11 and
Oh,
6.
I thought they played more. I thought they had more
No.
time.
No, they have to go
Okay,
11. And
that's
by the
nothing
way,
I thought.
that includes a West Coast swing
Yeah, did they?
where they're doing the West Coast Disney on Ice thing.
They might not.
No, they're
They
not
may not.
going to be.
They may not have more wins than the Eagles.
Keith is going to end up being a prophet on this. And once he pointed it out to me, I said, I think you're right.
Can we have prophets predict something positive?
Yeah, that
Can
would
we
be
have
nice.
Jack be
Yeah,
right about the NFC Championship game? Stop prophesizing things that are bad.
Pick up a Bible. There's lots of positive prophets.
Damn right, man.
Not about the Sixers, John.
No, that's the locusts and the plague. That's really bad.
Adam and Eve don't have anything on Joe's leg in
Yes.
a positive way.
I think Jesus of Nazareth is saying, do not lose on purpose for many, many years. It could bring bad things on your franchise.
Who wrote the letter to the Corinthians? We need
Paul.
we need Paul to write a letter to the
Paul
Philadelphians.
Paul
George.
George.
Paul George.
Well, he can't make it to
Sure
the
he
desk to write
did.
his knees blown out.
All right,
Unbelievable.
positives. Only when it comes to the Eagles right now. Johnny, what is the on-paper matchup telling you for the second straight week?
How about it's telling you that this is a game not only the Eagles should win, this should be a game the Eagles will win. because right now, here's a few things just to look at when you're looking at the Rams and the Eagles. There are a couple things, I'm going to tell you those in advance, that the Rams do better than the Eagles. The Rams are ahead of the Eagles in the takeaway, giveaway game, where the Eagles have finally gotten into plus territory. They've been in negative territory for quite a while. Mm-hmm. They've gotten into plus territory, but the Rams are actually 2 ahead of them in the turnover margin game. So that's something that they do a little bit better. But overall, the Eagles right now, and it might shock people to think about it, they're 7th in points per game offensively, and they're 6th defensively. That's outrageous. Like, to me, that is outrageous to think this team is in the top 25% of the NFL in both categories. That's really damn good. But this is where the big differences come. The Eagles pass a little less than the Rams. 40 yards passing a game less than the Rams. But the Rams have also trailed double the time that the Eagles have trailed this season. More than double. So that, to me, that throws that number out of the woodwork. Mm-hmm. So their passing game is not that more effective than the Eagles. But the Eagles dominate the running game. I mean, the Eagles are rushing now almost for 90 yards a game more than the Rams.
That's amazing.
Which means less time for their talented wide receivers, less time for Matthew Stafford, and you have a quarterback who isn't turning the ball over right now in Jalen Hurts, so that's looking good for you. But big swings here. Rams are 5 points a game less offensively than the Eagles, and 6 points a game worse than the Eagles defensively. And there's a website and that pops up on my timeline. And in fact, Eric Edholm shared some of this the other day, where you can go into matchups and you can see where the differential is. That's an 11-point differential going into the game for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Where they're better 6 defensively and 5 offensively. This year, 8.5-point differential games. The team's winning around 77% of the time. So the Eagles are a 3-point favorite. But if you just go by differentials with these two teams, this is a game the Eagles should feel very comfortable that the Eagles can play their game and win it.
And if you look
a lot of good positives on the Eagles in this matchup.
And if you look at the roster, the on-paper matchup, you could make the case. The case. That the Eagles win every head-to-head matchup. Now, look, I still respect I respect Matt Stafford a lot.
I think their defensive front is every bit as good. Every bit as good.
Yeah.
That's about where it ends.
But you could make the case. I mean,
no, you can.
Last week, it was a clean sweep. Like, you felt better about the Eagles in every position group than the Commanders. Second straight week in a row where I could make the case. Like, look, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are no joke, but
no, they're not.
Hello, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. So even if it's a split, you know what I mean? Like, the Eagles have an edge in pretty much every single position group. And if you give me the Rams pass rush, okay, I'll give you the Eagles offensive line to slow that down.
And that's where we're at right now, is the Eagles truly belong. The numbers show you that the Eagles truly belong at the top of the standings where they are. Last year, that defense was already leaking oil, even at 9-1. They were already showing that they weren't an elite defense, but the offense was helping them survive. This team, there's balance. Sixth in defense, 7th in offense. That's freaking amazing.
It is.
And that's something that I never expected. I expected it out of the offense. I expected the offense to even be better. And I believe they will continue to ascend as some easier games fall on their schedule. But, man, we should feel really good. Like Jack said.
Cruise control.
I don't know about cruise control, but you should feel really good about going into this game on Sunday night.
That's where he's at, man. Are you in cruise control with the Eagles? My buddy Jack says, I'm in cruise control. I believe the Eagles' destination, at least, might just be a pit stop, is the NFC Championship.
Well, I'm glad
game.
he joined me on that. Because, I mean, I've only been saying it since the summer.
Absolutely you have.
I just, I think that it feels a lot more stable ground.
Our man Tommy Reardon on Twitter.
Love Tommy. What's up, Tommy?
The process was the apple in the Adam and Eve reference.
Ah, that's good, yes.
However, he continues. Remember, the Sixers have introduced the snake branding.
That's next level, Tommy.
He said the devil has been hiding.
Tommy, that's next
sight.
level. It's just.
We'll hear from you. Are you in cruise control with the Eagles? And when it comes to the Sixers, are you now fearing the worst? Coming up next, we continue the good Eagles vibes. and your text messages, whether it's good or bad. But this will be a hard pill for a lot of you to swallow. Darius Slay is a good teammate. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
George injured again. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by this week's Fanatic Deal of the Week, which is half-price tickets to Yuletide at the Liberty Hill Holiday Festival. Go to 975thefanatic.com, keyword deal. Paul George, well, he was injured again in the Sixers' latest loss. The Sixers fell to the Memphis Grizzlies 117-111. They're 2-12 on the season, and Paul George left the game after hyperextending his left knee. It's the same injury that caused him to miss the start of the season. We'll keep you updated on how long he could be out for, but it's been a nightmare for the Sixers to start. The Eagles, well, they're having the dream side of the equation. They have won 6 straight contests, and they're just a couple days away from their cross-country trip to take on the Los Angeles Rams. Unfortunately, edge rusher Bryce Huff is set to undergo wrist surgery this week, putting him out for Sunday's game. So the Birds have not been immune to injury issues of their own. But Jalen Hurts talked yesterday about this time of year not just being about health, but about mentality.
I think it's not about all health. I think it's the mentality where we are. And so that's in the back of my mind as we're into this phase and putting the emphasis on finishing strong, putting ourselves in a good place.
But health does still matter to some extent. Devontae Smith, Milton Williams, and Jalen Hunt also missed practice yesterday. We'll keep you updated on their statuses. The Flyers fell to the Hurricanes 4-1 last night at the Wells Fargo Center. We'll talk to Amy Fadul for the entire 8 a.m. hour. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Tyrone Johnson.
The reason I don't respect kickers and punters is
by the Fanatic. A great positive vibe show for the Eagles.
Big
and
time.
The complete opposite for the Sixers.
Did you see Mark Bentz tweeted us back? All of us. He said snakes are bad vibes for Philly. If you take what happened with the Sixers adding the snake, the Union blowing it in the final minute of a championship, and the Phillies blowing it against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, that's right.
Snakes have been a problem for us.
Yeah.
It's very biblical.
It is very biblical. I don't know how I was going to try to transition this somehow using biblical terms, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to straight up say it. Coming up at 8:15, John Kincade
will answer slander?
He may.
No, I'm going to answer slander.
The war drums may be banging.
Oh, no. Consider it. I've got war paint on for 8:15.
You're already going to battle.
Oh, it's a going to battle.
And
because when you can't trust the people at your border, you have to say, hey, it's war. And I didn't start it, but I will gladly finish it at 8:15.
As you know, John, you are my partner, so I stand in solidarity with you.
But I don't want you to if I'm not, honestly. I don't want you to if I'm not speaking factual truths.
I'm a foxhole guy, man.
So I brought receipts.
I'm a foxhole guy.
I brought documented receipts. So there we go.
And the reason why I bring it up, Connor, right as we entered the break, I got a text message from one Ricky Vitalico.
So he was not even on the hit list this morning till I heard about this.
Was John on time today? Question mark.
Yeah. He was not even on the hit list. Now he is.
Now, again, as your partner who I stand in solidarity with, I responded with first one in, last one to leave.
Well,
all right.
Sometimes I'm not the last one to leave.
But you're always the first one in.
I'm always the first
one in.
Yeah.
Except for Monday. I beat you.
I'm always the first one in.
All right. So there will be war drums banging.
Oh, at 8:15.
At 8:15.
Don't miss it.
Speaking of the 8 o'clock hour, Amy Fadul will be here. So she better be careful.
By the way,
there might be strays.
It's only going to take a minute. And it's a simple exercise.
Stop myself.
There we go.
I'm making a crude joke. All right. Darius Slay is a good teammate.
Is he?
Seems like it. So I like Darius Slay, the player, more than most. I'm glad that people are finally starting to realize that he is still good and he does not stink. The podcast I absolutely despise.
Does he throw other players under the bus when things go bad? All the time.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe can get him a gig with the best show ever. Maybe we can get him a weekly appearance.
Well, Darius Slay was, despite the podcast last year, once again voted to be a captain of the team. Voted by the players. So this was not like Nick Sirianni made the decisions. This was voted by the players. Darius Slay was voted to be a captain last year. He's voted again to be a captain this year.
Okay.
And there's something beautiful happening inside NovaCare and on the field at Lincoln Financial Field because you see it pregame as well when Darius Slay and Quinyon Mitchell warm up together. They have apparently built a bond that is big brother, little brother. So Tim McManus, who joined the best show ever yesterday, speaking of the best show ever, I'll have him explain it a little bit himself, but he wrote a beautiful story, and he does a great job. We just threw him flowers last week. His long, worded stories are tremendous.
Oh, yeah, they're awesome.
And so he has a couple of quotes from Quinyon and Darius Slay. So Quinyon Mitchell, this was Howie Roseman. I want you to live next door to Darius Slay. I want you to sleep next to Slay. That's your guy. That was Howie Roseman at the very beginning with Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell responded.
Mrs. Slay may have a problem with that.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, yo, chill, Howie.
Quinyon Mitchell responded with, I might move in with him. Real talk. I'm going to text him right now. So Quinyon already was getting great things from Darius Slay. It has now continued. Darius Slay, take a listen to this. My heart kind of dropped a little bit when I saw him falling to us in the draft. I said, if this kid can drop to us, man, we'll be special together.
See, I like that.
I love that. And this is from the draft. And, of course, the two of them, the passing game coordinator, Christian Parker, spoke on them, saying it's a cool big brother, little brother dynamic. You could tell Q keeps Slay young, and Slay has an older brother thing. So they kind of play off each other. So not only are they clamping down receivers on the field, they have built a relationship with one another that's great for a young player. And say what you want about Darius Slay, and a lot of you are incorrect in terms of what you say about him as the player. It is good to have a rookie, a highly thought of rookie, having a former, all-pro player to look up to.
Who is still playing at a very, very high level.
Absolutely.
I love that about Darius Slay. I love that. It concerns me the way he points a finger when things go badly.
I know.
And it's been numerous occasions during his Eagles career. So that bothers me. But his mentorship is fantastic. His mentorship, the respect that the younger players have for him as far as he's willing to take the time. The Eagles have built that great culture here.
They have, because we've talked about Fletcher Cox with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. We've talked about Jason Kelsey with Cam Jurgens. Another quote from Quinyon Mitchell. We talk about life, and he just gives me life lessons, and it translates onto the field. During the games, I'm asking him what he's seeing and what he thinks is coming up during the next series. I lean on him a lot, and let's not lie to ourselves. Quinyon Mitchell probably has benefited from it.
Absolutely.
Like, we thought he was going to be good. Did you expect him to be this good?
No.
Having that kind of mentor, not only as a person, but as a teammate, that's pretty good to have. And Darius Slay deserves some credit for that.
No, he deserves a lot of credit for that.
So here's Tim McManus yesterday on With the Best Show Ever, talking about Darius Slay and Quinyon Mitchell.
When Mitchell was drafted, Howie Roseman is like, you guys probably remember the video, and he's saying, like, I want you to move in next door to Slay. I want you to sleep next to Slay. I want you to learn from this guy. That's your guy. And Mitchell really coming up, he modeled his game after Slay, so it was a natural fit there. Of course, Mitchell's coming from the MAC to the NFL. It's a really big jump. And Slay's got a lot of veteran experience, so it kind of made sense for these guys to pair up. But it's one thing that's not really talked a lot about Slay. He got a decent amount of heat for one reason or another in this town, but, he's obviously six-time Pro Bowler, and this is his 12th season. Very accomplished veteran, and somebody who's taken a bunch of guys under their wing. Somebody who goes out of his way to, have random meetup sessions for training with, high school kids in the area. He did it for guys like Sauce Gardner and Avonte Maddox back in his Detroit days. And, he's really sort of gone out of his way to make sure that he's shepherding Mitchell along. And you can see, Ty, it's one of the best cornerback duos in the NFL right now.
Why is he so hated in this
What
city?
do you mean?
Darius Slay?
I don't think he is. I think
dude.
I do not.
I saw a photo this preseason. The Eagles do a great job with letting people come see the locker room and all that kind of stuff, right? And I forget her name, but somebody posted a photo of her. She literally was flipping off Darius Slay's locker, and the amount of screw that guy.
Okay, that's terrible.
And I'm like, remember last year the dude with the trash cans? It was Darius Slay and James Bradbury.
Slay and Bradbury?
And, there are people, there are a lot of people, I will say, that just don't like Darius Slay.
Well, no. He's given some people to have a reason for that.
Of course,
because
I agree.
in every single season, there's been an incident, it seems like, where he throws other people under the bus and says, not me.
But I would say every single
doing my
season,
job.
He's been the great corner that he's always been.
Yeah.
Except for interceptions.
I'm going to use the G word. I'm going to use good.
Okay.
But I believe he's had great stretches, big time.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly impressed with him. But I think he's given reason for fans to have a bit of a sour taste in their mouth at times, too.
Sure, but there's the Connor has seen it online. There's people that straight up don't like the guy.
Absolutely.
He has not gotten any credit from some people for his time here in Philadelphia.
Well, the thing is, see, this is where I go, I just ignore those people.
I understand.
I go, those people's opinion, I'm like, if you say an opinion, I get to have that opinion. Yeah, sure you do. I get to ignore it, too.
Well,
I can't dialogue. I can't dialogue with someone who tells me, oh, well, Darius Slay's been terrible as an Eagle, or he's horrible. Then immediately the listening ears are off, and I'm like, okay.
I got you. But let's not forget earlier this year, you did call for him to not be a captain anymore.
No, I think because of his antics. I don't like the throw other people under the bus routine.
I got you, but
and I don't understand why
make that feel a bit far.
What do you mean?
Hearing this story, doesn't that make that feel like a bit far of a step to take to say you shouldn't be a captain?
No, I'm saying is the players are going to elect their captains. I'm saying that's not the leader that I want. As far as he can have personal relationship and lead, I need to know that my guys aren't running to say, wasn't me. Wasn't my problem. The Dallas game on Christmas.
I know.
A couple years ago. Wasn't me. Christmas Eve. Wasn't me. not me, wasn't my guy. It's just, I don't understand where that would be your desire to do that.
It seems like the players don't mind it. If they're voting him for captains, they love him. Here's another quote. This is from Cooper DeJean, who we all love.
We do like Cooper DeJean a lot.
Quote, I don't think enough people are talking about him, how well he's playing, especially at 33. I don't want to throw a shot at him, but he's playing at a high level, which is great to see. It's great for our defense, so it's awesome to see his longevity, the way he takes care of himself to be able to play this long in the league. Darius Slay is a pretty big piece for this Eagles locker room.
33, he is playing at an absurd level. Honestly.
He deserves more love from a lot of Eagles fans, in my opinion.
No, on that I could agree with you.
All right, coming up next, we hear more from you. And also, we are 1 hour and 42 minutes into the show, almost 2 hours into the show. And we have not mentioned an injury that has happened to the Eagles. I would normally say shame on us, but it's kind of been the year for this guy. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
D-line 'em.
So Embiid's team is second from the bottom in the Eastern Conference. It is so frustrating to continue to report on this guy.
76ers insider.
It's disheartening to watch the team flounder to the extent that they are. The organization extended Embiid.
And Salciunas 97.5, The Fanatic. Don't forget Amy Fadul for the entire 8 o'clock hour today. She normally joins us for the 8 o'clock hour, or no, 9 o'clock hour, on Tuesdays. But stuff happens, and so she'll be in with us for the entire 8 o'clock hour. And
I look
again,
forward to her being there.
At 8:15, we might make her have to pick a side.
She can pick a side if she wishes. She's a journalist, so I think I know which side she will take.
Beef with the best show ever.
The best show ever stirring crap up again. I mean, this is just, I didn't expect this.
Especially when there's a peace treaty.
No, the peace treaty's been obliterated.
It's a shame, man. It's
Terrible.
a shame. I thought we were heading in the right direction.
Slander, I think they taught slander in the, they didn't teach it, obviously, at Rutgers. But they do teach it at Temple. Complete slander. I'll answer it at 8:15.
8:15. All right, so we have not talked about it yet today. And normally I would say shame on us, but literally, I mean, it's kind of been the way the season's been for this guy. Bryce Huff will be getting a procedure on the wrist that he has been dealing with. Remember, what game was it? Right before the trade deadline. He only played like 6 snaps.
Jacksonville?
Maybe. And there was like talk, are they trying to keep him healthy so that he could be traded? Remember, there was a couple of reports.
Yes.
Tom Pelissaro had a report that he was on the block. I remember we asked Shefty about it. Shefty heard those reports, but Shefty did not think there was anything real there.
If he was on the block, it would be like when you drive by somebody's house and there's the couch sitting out in the rain.
Anyone want this?
Anyone want this? Take it.
So he's been dealing with the wrist injury. He's been playing with the club on his hand the last couple of weeks, and he is now getting surgery on it, and they are expecting him to be back for the end of the season, and, of course, for the playoffs as well.
Thankfully.
Look, he was not dealing with the wrist injury earlier in the season when he was having 0 production, so let's not act like this is the reason why he's been a disappointment. But it is still newsworthy and noteworthy, but you're now just going to have to find a way to replace his 20 to 30% of the snaps. That's basically it.
That's all you're going to have to do?
Like, to me, it's sad. Like, I don't want to be a
No, I don't want to be a jerk to the guy, but he's...
But when the story came out yesterday, I was like,
ho-hum.
All right.
More snaps for somebody else.
Jalix Hunt, man.
Yes, more snaps for Jalix Hunt.
He was out of practice yesterday, so we'll
Correct.
see.
That's great.
More, it is the truth.
That's great. Thanks for reminding me, Connor.
I hope that's not something big, though.
But they'll have to, look, they'll have to be creative, and Vic Fangio is the guy to do that. But it's not like they lost a guy who was playing 70% of the snaps on the defensive line. And it's a shame
he's
because
making all the money.
I know he is.
He's making all that money.
It's a shame because this team's playing so well, and that was a guy where we're like, all right, let's see how the signing works out. It's not like anybody. I don't remember hearing anybody thrilled about the signing. It was just kind of like, all right, let's see it.
I thoroughly expected that the way the talent evaluation has been towards the draft lately, which has been really, really good for the Birds, I thought for sure that they saw something here.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, he's the guy that I was believing that they saw something and it was going to work out. And Zach Bond was the guy that I'm Googling the day that they picked him up and saying, who the hell's Zach Bond?
And they want to do what with him?
And Vic Fangio thinks that he's found literally a diamond in the rough. He maybe found a starting Pro Bowl linebacker.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
No, I can't
story.
even. To me, it is the most fascinating story probably of the entire year. Is everything that Vic Fangio has done with this defense.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
It's been spectacular.
That's why I can't get mad at the Bryce Huff thing, right? Because Howie Roseman found 2, maybe 3 Pro Bowl caliber players this offseason. Now, found is a loose term when you talk about Saquon Barkley.
He didn't find him.
You bring in Saquon Barkley. You find a way to add him. Zach Bond is another one. And a lot of credit goes to Vic Fangio. And let's not forget about Mekhi Becton coming in here and playing an incredible right guard for this team. He's been very, very good. So, yes, Bryce Huff looks like a miss right now. But I'm not going to put crap on Howie Roseman's plate because of that, simply based on the track record he has for this offseason so far.
If you go super inside football, I do have a slight concern for Mekhi Becton.
What's that?
And this is super inside football. Not
what
many
is
people
that?
want to hear
that?
about right guard play. He is still slow.
Okay.
And there was a play this past game where a couple of times they attacked him and he just couldn't. If he got beat off the attack, he wasn't sliding and keeping in front of his guy. That's my one concern with Mekhi Becton. Because other than that, if you're doing a ground game, he's beating up the guy in front of him. But when Jalen Hurts is dropping back to pass,
it's not a positive.
Super inside football.
But it's not a positive matchup for him right now. But they have gotten more out of him, to Connor's point.
Absolutely.
More out of him than anybody expect. I mean, he was a complete bust with the Jets.
Yeah, and he was a tackle.
Bro,
and
he was in a competition with Tyler Steen to start the year.
Yeah. And Steen had the leg up, being the third-round draft pick who played guard. And Mekhi Becton won. Good for him. All right, give us a text on the text line, Connor. You can text the show at 610-632-0975. We'll reset the entire show with Amy coming up next as she joins us for the entire 8 o'clock hour.
Sinclair checks in, says, I think I'll be in cruise control with the Eagles if they beat the Rams. The rest of the season has 2 losses at the most on it after this game, barring disaster, of course. Sixers, I'm 97.5% out on the season and playoffs.
Was that on purpose?
I believe so.
I just don't. The Sixers thing, if you're just tuning in, our question, because there's a lot of bad going on with the Sixers right now, and we'll go through the entire list with Amy next. Our question is, are you now expecting the worst? I'm not saying fearing. Like, are you expecting at this point the worst? And the worst is, they don't make the playoffs, or, they make the playoffs and it's an early exit because they're lucky they're in the Eastern Conference and not the Western Conference. Because 2-12, you're still just a couple games out of the playoffs, whereas in the Western Conference, you'd be out probably at this point. But they make the playoffs and get swept or lose in 5, what's the point?
I think this is rock bottom where we're at.
Hopefully
because
they can get out of it.
This team is too talented to not climb back into it at some point. Climb back into somehow respectability.
Yeah, as long as somebody's healthy. Which,
who?
Now Paul George is hurt. All right, Amy Fadul joins us for the entire 8 o'clock hour. Coming up next, it's Kincade and Salciunas. And again, don't forget, the War Drums are a-banging at 8:15, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Hurt's not worried about health. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety. Did you know that driving under the influence of marijuana is illegal? Drive high, get a DUI. A message from the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety. The Eagles are just a couple of days away from heading cross-country over to the West Coast, taking on the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football, putting that 6-game win streak on the line, looking to make it 7. And Jalen Hurts talked to the media yesterday, but he said about this time of the year, it's not necessarily about health, but having the right team mentality.
I think it's not about all health. I think it's the mentality where we are. And so that's in the back of my mind as we're in this phase and putting the emphasis on finishing strong, putting ourselves in a good place.
Now, health still is part of the equation, and the Eagles lost edge rusher Bryce Huff this week to wrist surgery. We'll keep you updated on how long he's out, but he will be unavailable for Sunday's game. Devontae Smith, Milton Williams, and Jalix Hunt also missed practice yesterday. The Sixers, well, their rough start to the season, it continued last night. A 117-111 loss to the short-handed Memphis Grizzlies. The Sixers now sit at 2-12, and to make matters worse, Paul George left the game after hyperextending the same left knee that caused him to miss the start of the season. We'll keep you updated on his status when we get more information. The Flyers fell to the Hurricanes 4-1 last night, so just a rough night around the city in general. But Amy Fadul joins us coming up next, so that'll be fun. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
is 8 a.m. on this Thursday morning. I hope and please have a safe driving to work today. Not the best weather outside today. We could actually get a better report from meteorologist Amy Fadul because she joins us for the entire hour. Amy, how were the roads coming in?
It's still very wet. There's still a good amount of standing water out there.
I told John I hydroplaned this morning doing the speed limit.
Yeah,
on
it was
the Blue Ridge.
Just changed
on
76.
on
Just
76.
changing lanes in 76 and skidded a little bit. So drive safely.
Yeah, it's definitely very wet still out there.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
I love the hoodie.
It is a great
Amy,
sweatshirt.
for those of us watching on YouTube, or I'll tell you, an NBC Sports Philly hoodie.
Thank you.
That's sharp.
Yeah, I usually wear an affiliation with one of our teams, and I just was like, you know what, I'm going to go neutral right now.
That's great, though.
There's not much happiness when it comes to the Sixers, which we will talk to you about.
Sure.
Obviously, you'll be joining us for the entire hour. But before we get to our headline segment with Connor, let's start with the positive, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles.
Let's do it.
So I had my buddy Jack over yesterday. He had to pick something up. So, of course, when somebody has to pick something up, hey, you want to come in for a beer?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
you're here.
That's what you have to do. Come on in, have a beer, even though I see him probably like 4 days a week anyway. And we're just, talking life and then talking sports. And he said, quote, I am in cruise control with the Eagles.
Cruise control?
Cruise control. And I started thinking about it, and he explained himself. So when we do this job, we have to look good, bad, positives, negatives. We have to hear the critiques, even if though we might not agree with them. Yes. Sometimes they're hot takey, ridiculous stuff, and you want to ignore it, but you just can't because you're trying to see, all right, is there any logic to it? He's an Eagles fan. He doesn't do this. He doesn't work in the media. He's just an Eagles fan. But he explained himself. He said, every team behind the Eagles, I'm not afraid of. Like, just straight up, I believe the Eagles will win any of those games in the standings. John, you went through it. The Cardinals are the 3 seed right now?
Yeah, the Cardinals are the 3 seed.
Yeah, that's not.
We're not worried about behind us. We're looking ahead.
Correct.
And so he said, cruise control, destination, NFC championship game. Because you wouldn't play the Lions until the NFC championship
Just stay
game,
the 2 seed.
either in Detroit or in Philadelphia, right? And he's not worried about the other teams. If you have home games, he expects them to win those games, as we all should. If they don't win those games at home against the Cardinals, a Falcons, a Seahawks, a Niners.
We'll be upset.
We'll be upset.
Right.
And he says that even though he still understands there's chances that something bad can happen. But he's like, look, the team's good. They've been playing better since the bye. I'm watching the Sixers completely explode in front of me. There's nothing with the Eagles right now that I'm necessarily worried about. And especially now that Nick Sirianni's gotten out of his own way, when I hear him say it, usually when the person calls in and says, oh, you guys are too negative, and I go, all right, well, explain why. They don't have an explanation.
Right.
He at least gave one.
It's the tenor, I think, sometimes. Well, people just assume that if you talk any kind of critique or criticism that you're being negative, and I don't think that's always the case. But cruise control doesn't mean you're not paying attention to the road, right?
Yes.
You're
you
still aware. You need to maybe shift it off cruise control because you hydroplaned or whatever. Not that you should ever hydroplane or cruise control when it's wet outside.
No, you should
but
not.
It's a bad idea. But no, I mean, I get what he's saying because on its face, yes, any team that you would face, certainly at home in the playoffs, should be a win. I don't care who it is, because you're not going to, likely you wouldn't face the Lions, them being the 1 seed. You would face them, obviously, in the NFC Championship game in Detroit. But right now, there's no reason to doubt the Eagles. So I can see why there's a lot of optimism, and there should be some optimism because we know where they started. You know where they came from and what they've done to get better, the defense especially. It is a complete turnaround from what we saw in the first 4 weeks of the season.
And I want to ask you about that coming up in a little bit because just a couple of weeks ago, you were still a little suspect of the Eagles' defense, and I totally understood where you were coming from. But it's unbelievable that it's just continued all season long. Yeah. So hold on to that thought because I would love to get your thoughts on it. Again, 8:15, we will hear war drums.
We're going to hear them.
Amy, I'm sorry that you will have to be here for it.
Yeah, no. Amy will be. Amy will be a good judge. No, she'll be a good judge because it's very calm on my part.
You could be Switzerland.
I was slandered.
You could be Switzerland.
I was slandered, and I have receipts, and that's the bottom line. Will I expect an apology? Nah.
Well,
unfortunately, I won't expect one.
We'll hear the war drums at 8:15, but it is 8:05. It is time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
What do we got?
No war drums here. Everything's happy on the headlines. Besides Zach Wheeler being robbed again, let's talk NL Cy Young.
Get the hell out of here.
Absolutely unbelievable that Chris Sale wins the NL Triple Crown pitching-wise.
Limped to the finish, by the way, Chris Sale did.
He did limp to the finish. But something that's important.
To first place in every category.
We can get your reaction to Chris Sale winning over Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler, his second runner-up in a Phillies uniform. But also something interesting. Christopher Sanchez, 10th.
I saw.
Aaron Nola, 13th. The Phillies, the only team in the National League. I didn't check the American League. They might have been the only team in all of baseball with 3 pitchers receiving votes. Now, the votes go, if you're not aware, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So Sanchez had 2 fifth-place votes. Nola had 1 fifth-place vote, is how the voting broke down.
Yeah, that's cool. And look, if Suarez doesn't get hurt, he's getting votes as well. Now,
that was June 1st, though.
Yes.
When he got hurt.
So one of the amazing things, Zach Wheeler finished second. He would have finished second regardless, but a guy voted him 4th, which...
what are we doing?
Take his vote away.
Yeah, you're stupid. Whatever your name is. It's not Andrew Brandt, something else Brandt. I feel comfortable saying you're dumb and you don't know what you're watching, even though he tried to explain himself. But I think that's just trying to say something to get a stir, and people probably...
No, but he got the engagement that he wanted.
Exactly. Absolutely. That was dumb to put him 4th. For anybody that thinks Wheeler got robbed, like Dylan McKinnon. Dylan McKinnon at 8:30 last night, Wheeler robbed again. Guys, and I use him as an example because he works here at the station. Chris Sale won the Triple Crown for pitchers.
He won every single category. He was the best.
What are you guys talking about?
Come on, he didn't get robbed. Stop it.
Zach Wheeler got legitimately robbed the Corbin Burns year. Corbin Burns should not have won Cy Young. Chris Sale is the NL Cy Young.
Come on.
And there's no debate.
Let Dylan have his joy. That's his joy for the day. Don't take his joy away.
You're right.
He's not hurting anybody with that.
Hey, he needs that.
But if anybody thinks he got robbed, like, come on, guys. Like, I get it. We're Phillies fans, but come on.
Correct.
That is the right response.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to need you guys to have some decorum with this one because our next topic for headlines surrounds a guest that we had on yesterday, a very high-profile guest, one Adam Schefter. I'm not sure if you guys saw this.
I did.
Yeah.
But on This Is Football with Kevin Clark, Shefty joined him, and he was asked where the strangest place he ever broke a story from is. And, just go ahead and take a listen.
Weirdest place you've broken a story is what?
I can remember being in Denver one time. I was, how do I say this? I had just spent time with this woman for the first time.
Yeah, okay.
And got a text that Dale Carter was being suspended. I think it was for 8 games for substance abuse. So as I continued to lay there, confirm it, and got the job done, Kevin, in every which way.
That is just so much information.
Yeah, too much
information.
So much information.
Too much information. Now, he answered the question, so credit to him for answering the question.
Do you guys feel bad that you got scooped on the Shefty weirdest scoop?
No, I would never ask. I would never ask Shefty that question.
No, we have enough to ask about the Eagles before I ask him a question like that. We will ask him about it.
That is the beauty, though. I will say of the podcast format because you can get into things.
It's a free for all.
You can get into things
clearly
that are. I remember asking Phil Jackson when Shaq and I doing the podcast and asking Phil Jackson when did he piss you off the most?
Yeah.
When did he? You can get into these longer stories that you can't get into, and you get stuff that just makes you surprised. Kobe Bryant said one day to us, I'm interviewing Kobe and Shaq on the podcast, and they go, I asked Kobe, I said, when was the time, were you ever scared of Shaq? He goes, hell yeah. He goes, I stood in front of the mirror in the bathroom and was shaking because I had challenged Shaq, and he pulled back his fist like he was going to punch me, and he said, I actually was recounting it in my head and shaking.
Yeah, I would shake if Shaq's fist is...
He says, I pushed him. I never thought he'd swing at me, and he got ready to swing at me, and he said, I thought I took it then a little too far.
Yeah, if Superman's about to throw a closed fist shot at me, I'm scared.
Exactly.
Is there, obviously, we don't break stories like Shefty does. Is there ever a strange moment in your careers?
I mean...
A strange moment
something like this.
In what nature, Andrew?
In anything.
Yeah, please.
No, in anything.
I changed a diaper doing radio hits. Of my daughter. That's doing a radio hit.
I mean, we've had, I remember when Chip Kelly got fired, I was at the ballet, and I just looked and I was like,
Did you have to ditch the ballet?
I didn't, but Sean did.
Sean did.
We looked, one of us was like, "What?" And I remember we were downstairs one time, and we were in the middle of literally, I think, changing a diaper and the Sam Bradford signing, and we both looked up and like, rock, paper, scissors, who's going in?
Who's got this?
All right, I'm going inside. I called and I was like, I can come in. We were living in the city at the time, so we were in work for 7 minutes. So.
I don't think any of us have a story that's shefty.
No,
just
we're all good.
If
you did, we'd just share it.
No, I'm surprised Adam did share.
I am too.
Little surprised.
Yeah, they laugh is what kicks it off.
The way I look at things is there's things that you share, and I always go, and maybe you with younger kids, is I had a child growing up in the first internet age, and I'm thinking, Dad doesn't need to do anything.
But I think Schefter likes that's out there.
Really?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It could be.
A little swag, maybe. Who knows? I don't know what his thinking is.
We don't know.
You guys can find out. You can ask him.
What else, Connor?
We've got also a replay from earlier.
Are you in cruise control with the Eagles?
I mean, I don't know that you can get into cruise control in an NFL season. That's my one issue with what your buddy Jack was saying and what we started with this morning. Like, is cruise control a place that, like, even if you're the Detroit Lions right now, the Buffalo Bills, you just knocked off Kansas City. Do any teams feel like they're in cruise control?
That's why I feel is like, Connor, would you get up on Sunday morning and are you going to be relaxed at 8 o'clock on Sunday night?
Well, yeah, but I'm not. I'm relaxed during games normally, but I'm not relaxed with the season overall.
But I mean, it's
that's why I'm not in cruise control. But I understood where he was coming from, and he actually made points behind it. Like, it wasn't like
there was no teams that he was really like, oh my gosh, they're going to run up and get us.
Right.
But a loss to the Rams sets this season in a totally different direction.
Yeah.
If you win against the Rams, you can afford a loss to the Ravens.
If they lose to the Rams, I'll
lose
follow
to the
up.
Rams. You gotta,
exactly.
Then you got to beat
How are you
the
doing
Ravens.
now?
I said, did your tire pop? What happened? All right, Amy. So before we get to the wardrobe,
okay.
Do you have your helmet on?
I'm ready.
No?
She doesn't need it.
Bracing.
You're
I'm
building
on this
this.
side.
You're building this thing up.
I'm nervous, man. But I
Don't
told
be
you, I'm your
nervous.
partner. I stand in
Don't be
solidarity.
nervous.
I'm a foxhole guy.
I don't want you to.
I'm a foxhole guy.
If you think I'm wrong.
I'm a foxhole guy.
All right.
The defense was something that you were still kind of suspect of, even as late as the Jags game.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
How are you feeling when it comes to the Eagles' defense?
Yeah, much better. I mean, because we talked about it after the Browns game, after the Jaguars game, you thought, okay, they were okay. Improved, certainly, but the bar, that's a pretty low bar, let's be honest. Like, improved on pretty terrible. So I was still waiting to see that consistency, and now you've seen it. I mean, you've seen it basically every week. They've gotten better every single week, not just schematically. I think that they've made a whole shift, and credit to Vic Fangio, but it's just so many other players that are stepping up. The Nakobe Deans, the Jalen Carters, obviously. But Dean, I think, has been a revelation. Here was a guy we had a lot of questions about.
Yeah.
Going into the deservedly so. Now you're going in, here's a guy that you spent the third round pick on. Like, what are we doing? Like, let's go. Like, start doing what you're supposed to do. And I think, obviously, Zach Bond has been everything that they thought he was going to be and more. What a revelation right there. Credit also to Vic Fangio on that, because I know we've talked about it. That was a guy that when he mentioned him in his press conference, we all looked down and were like, who was that? Who did he say? I had to look it up. I looked at my roster and I was like, Bond? Did he say Bond? Who's that guy? So that's a real credit to that scouting department and certainly to all of the defensive coaches that have really developed these players. Quinyon Mitchell is as advertised. Cooper DeJean is as advertised. They've really done a nice job at developing some of those players.
Are they better than advertised?
And more.
Well, Quinyon Mitchell was the highest rated. So, I mean,
he was, yeah.
I think that he's as advertised.
Lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, what do they call him?
Quintanamo Bay.
Well, it should be Quinyanamo, by the way. If you're going to do it, you got to give his name, right? Quinyon.
I mean,
it should be Quinyanamo Bay.
It's Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, but it's Quinyanamo. His name is Quinyon.
So I think we did this earlier,
then
too.
people don't really get the reference because it's Guantanamo. No, I'm telling you, there's kids nowadays that have no idea what Guantanamo Bay is.
What I deal with people.
I'd like to send some of them there. I would be glad that'd be
a little aggressive for them.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it does sound like a lot.
Mine have. I've already raised the teenager.
Yeah.
I'll check back with you.
Oh, no, mine. We're all good there. We're all good there.
Exactly.
No, but I think that it's just the consistency has been the biggest thing for me, that every single week there's not that doubt of like, okay, they're going to close this game out and they're going to be able to get the stops when they need to. And I don't know that I felt that even when they were playing a little bit better, like the Browns game or the Jags game.
All right, Amy, you're here, so don't worry. We will get into the Philadelphia 76ers.
This isn't going to take long.
Coming up around 8:30.
Famous last words there, John.
No, it's open and shut.
Around 8:30, we will talk Sixers with Amy Fadul. We'll get to a couple of texts soon because John Kincade says this won't take long.
It won't take long.
Do we have the war drums, Connor? Oh.
I'll just speak quickly. I was slandered yesterday on the best show ever. Complete slander. I was shocked that Tyrone Johnson did it. I actually thought that maybe Marcus Hayes was sitting in yesterday. That's how bad the reporting was on this story. I was reported by somebody, I wonder who, on a day we're talking about the Sixers having snitches in the locker room. I'm wondering who would give false information to Tyrone that I was late for a meeting. It ends up that it was Dylan McKinnon. Also Candace from Phineas and Ferb. I would just tell you that it was false information. So what I will do is I will hand my phone over, document, to one Andrew Salciunas. Don't hit any buttons on it because I've got it right to you.
Oh, nice phone. Nice phone case.
That is a nice phone case. My daughter made it for me on Skin It.
Hold on. Do I go all the way down?
No,
don't move
I
it, he
had
said.
it right to it.
Yeah, but you handed it to me.
Go to the camera roll.
Literally, I had it right to where you needed to
My
read.
thumb touched the screen when you handed it to me, so it moved, John.
I said don't do that.
Screenshot it.
That's what I asked you to do.
Screenshot is so much easier than handing me the live text feed.
No, because I have to send you the live text feed because that's what matters about me being able to show that I was not late for a meeting yesterday.
Do you have the timestamp of the actual photo?
Here, put it in my hands like a baby.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. We had a 10:15 meeting.
Okay.
All right, yesterday.
When the 10:15 meeting was set to begin.
On Zoom.
I was sitting in the lobby.
So you got a text from our program director, Scott Masteller, at 10:16. Are you joining the meeting?
What did I say?
I'm trying to connect now.
And I showed the picture.
Screenshot.
I'm sitting in the lobby saying...
The virtual lobby.
The virtual lobby,
yes.
and it is time...
The screenshot was taken at 10:16. You were in your car.
Sitting there.
What
else did I say? Then what did I say?
You sent another screenshot.
Yes, I'm sitting there in the lobby.
Can you text me the link again? It may be corrupted.
Documented photo evidence...
Yes.
Time, date, stamp. By the way, I look good in the pictures, don't I? I mean, that's a good picture.
Did you take a screenshot of the actual you sitting in the lobby?
No,
yes, it says
that's it.
Waiting to be. It says waiting to be welcomed in.
Yeah. Waiting to be connecting.
So I was on time for the meeting. I was not getting into the meeting. There was some glitch, but I'm sitting there, fully documented. I would expect better reporting in the future out of the best show ever. But one thing we know. Like the Sixers locker room. The walls have ears around here. And they're big ears attached to Dylan McKinnon. There are 3 ways to get information out in this company. Telegraph, telephone, tell Dylan. Those are the ways you communicate around here.
That was a good one.
Good.
If you say anything in Dylan's presence, he is going to run to Gaston and tell him. Now, unfortunately, Tyrone went with misinformation yesterday, but I know the integrity of Tyrone Johnson News, because that is his Twitter handle, Tyrone Johnson News, a newsman, will correct his error today and admit that he was spreading false information. That's it. Don't need anything more to say.
And as your partner, I stand in solidarity because...
You saw the documented proof.
Yes. And I heard you on the phone because Dylan called you to make sure you were ready to go. Now
this is surprising that it would be this.
Now, I chimed in on this on social media yesterday, Amy, and I would like your opinion on this.
Okay. You chimed in?
When the leak happened after the meeting.
Yes.
I mean, when Dylan started flapping his gums.
I'm talking about the Sixers.
He's talking about the Sixers.
Talking about the Sixers meeting.
Oh, okay. Well, he probably was involved in that, too.
Ricky Batalico went on a beautiful rant that we played on the show and gave him flowers for.
Yes.
That whoever leaked it either should be gone or obviously should have a talking to.
That's what he said.
Being that he is a former professional athlete in Philadelphia and in Major League Sports. And so I quote tweeted the story that came out yesterday.
Mm-hmm, I saw that.
And I said, now the question is, who was the leak?
We know who it was.
Ricky Batalico is the one who said whoever leaked the Sixers needs to go.
So if we're going to have company meetings, this would just be my statement. If we're going to have meetings within the company, I wouldn't think that Dylan McTrollen would be running to spread information of what comes out of the meeting. That's not a lot to ask. And at least if you're going to spread it, get it right.
Now, will Ricky keep the same energy?
I don't think Ricky's going to. Well, it depends. What does Tyrone say? We're going to find out.
I will say Mark Jackson disagrees with Ricky's take, and that's
Why?
Mark Jackson as an NBA player.
Oh, interesting.
Is NBA locker room different, do you believe? Like,
No,
you've
I
been in
think
all of them.
I think he thinks Mark believes, and this is true, locker rooms now are different than anything those guys ever experienced.
That could be.
But he said it got out when he was back in playing. That was, decades ago, before social media.
Whether that's okay or not, though, which it probably shouldn't be.
It shouldn't.
But it's like saying, I'm mad that it's raining outside.
Can you guys fix the
It
Sixers
is.
for us?
Well, then again, it hadn't rained for like a while,
we needed
so
it.
we actually kind of
We
needed
barely
it.
all
If
caught up
anyone was
in
mad
one
about
night.
the rain today, come on. All right, coming up next, you mentioned the Sixers, Johnny. Amy, we will talk to you, and I can't wait to talk to you about it because not only am I excited for your opinion, you watched the games with Mark Jackson, with Coach Lynham, and I can only imagine what is said while you guys are watching the game, not on camera on NBC Sports Philadelphia. You'll also hear audio if you missed it earlier today. Tim Legler spoke after the game last night. No hot take BS. He just talks ball. And he didn't have anything good to say about the Philadelphia 76ers. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Amy in studio with us for the remainder of the hour. And Kevin Nagandi, by the way, joins us at 9 right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Injury issues.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We are joined by Amy Fadul for the entire hour. Want to let you know about the Fanatic Deal of the Week, a great one. Get 2 single-day adult tickets to Yuletide Liberty Hill for the price of 1. Located in Lafayette Hill, Yuletide Liberty Hill is the region's ultimate Christmas village, featuring rides, boutique shopping, ice skating, live music, craft drinks, and more. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. What?
Yeah,
Where
is
that held?
Lafayette Hill.
Why did you call it that?
I don't know.
You're having a problem with this word this week.
Lafayette
Hill.
Lafayette. I mean, I feel like maybe if you were like, the colonel in the French army, maybe you would have been Lafayette.
Lafayette, Louisiana.
No, that's Lafayette.
Yeah,
That's Lafayette. That is, too.
I don't even know how to say any of that.
That is
I know how to say
very good Creole knowledge there, Amy.
That's
I'm
Lafayette.
going to stop saying it. I'm going to have German John start reading this.
Lafayette. I was
Lafayette.
like, I thought it was something different. You know, it's like, because you have to say Lancaster and Lancaster different.
Yeah,
I thought
you say
maybe like Andrew had like a
Lancaster.
different.
It's Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
This
Some
show
people
in
say
words, man.
Oh, it is.
We're typical Philadelphians, man. Come on, we can't get anything correct when it comes to Philadelphia sports and names and everything. I apologize. I apologize to the Hill people. All right? My God. Get off my back.
They love when you call them that.
You know? I'm sure they do. All right, I want to play something for you, Amy. I'm not sure if you heard this. Tim Legler was on with Scott Van Pelt last night. We will play it for you, and then, of course, I don't necessarily need you to react to what Tim had to say. I would like your own personal opinion on the 2-12 Philadelphia 76ers. Here was Legs last night on ESPN.
I'm getting to the point where I'm not sure this is going to be survivable. And look, you saw it again tonight. Paul George gets hurt. Joel Embiid got hurt. It looked serious at first. He comes back into the game, so that's a great sign. But now Paul George is going to miss some more time. Same injury he had in the preseason. Tyrese Maxey just coming back. At some point, you don't just need to have guys out there that you expected. You need to have guys out there for a prolonged stretch so they can start to develop the kind of rhythm you need. They're not going to get completely buried in the Eastern Conference the way they would in the West, but it's getting to the point where, number one, I've lost expectation that they will stay healthy, and I'm also concerned about some of the things that I've heard from Nick Nurse this year that doesn't have to do with health, when he talks about getting outworked or a team being tougher, or when I interviewed him earlier this year, when I called one of his games, he said they get dispirited very easily when things go against them in the course of a game, basically saying, we don't fight through adversity very well. Those don't have anything to do with who's playing for you. So I am concerned that at some point you look at this and say, I don't care what you have at the top of your roster in terms of talent, if it takes this long to get it going, and who knows when we'll finally get all these guys out there for a while, it might not be a season in which you're going to be able to turn this thing around and become a legitimate threat.
And I felt that it was important to play that because Legs is not like a hot take guy from one of the get-ups or anything.
There were no lies detected in any of that.
He's just a basketball mind. So, Amy, you watch this team literally every single night. It is part of your job.
Yeah.
When you hear Legs say it almost seems like it's getting to the point where they can't dig out of it, I, too, have trouble finding where they do get out of it. And if they make the playoffs, which I am still expecting them to, to lose to Boston in 5 in round 1?
I mean, you're looking at the play-in tournament at this point, so first you got to get there. But, he's correct. I said it last night. Actually, I said it on Monday. It's getting late early.
Yeah.
And it is. At that point, they were 2-11. Now they're 2-12. And you start looking around being like, all right. I mean, I do agree with one thing that Leg said about I don't like some of the verbiage about being dispirited. I will say that team last night showed a lot more fight than they did in Miami, and certainly in the second half against the Magic.
They did.
So I thought, okay, well, here's some I'm trying to take some positives away. Jared McCain, obviously a positive.
Yeah.
A complete game from Joel Embiid, a real positive. Gershon Yabusele, another positive. The negative, when you saw Paul, we got little over 5 minutes. That's what you got. 5 minutes of Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
And then you're 15 games into the season almost. You're 2-12.
Hearing Legs say, I'm beginning to lose faith that this team's going to stay healthy. I never had faith.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know that I have faith for any team to be 100% healthy.
No,
the year the Eagles went to the Super Bowl in 2017. Next
man up.
Let's face it, and that was probably at the end of the year they were one of the healthier teams, and they weren't healthy. So I get what he's saying because I think he's saying for the Stars. He has not a lot of faith that the Stars will remain healthy. But I think that I do have faith that they will make the playoffs. We kind of did the numbers on it, and the East is there for the taking. There's only 4 teams out of the 15 in the East that are over 500 at this point.
Is it playoffs, or are you saying play in? Because there's a difference to me.
I mean,
like, to me,
you're playing an extra game after you're 82.
But you're also then putting yourself into the collision course of your first round matchup is terrible.
Right. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you
avoid the play-in,
you have 68 games left.
Right.
You've got 2 wins. In order to avoid, think about it. They say it like, and that's when when we talked about it last night or 2 nights ago, I was like, you need 40. You need 42. You need 40 more wins at that point in order to probably avoid the play-in. Looking at maybe like a 7 seed, maybe you're in that 7-8 game.
Yeah.
42. Are you telling me right now that you think you can get 40 wins out of the next 68 games?
I have not seen anything to
Got to
feel
go 40 and 28
in believing in that.
so then you're in the play-in tournament.
And,
so then you win 30-something games.
And I came to the realization this morning. We went over the list of the logical concerns that we had before the season started, and they've all come to light. Embiid playing in the Olympics was a logical concern. Like, all right, is this going to impact his rehab from the injury that he had to come back a little early from so that he could be ready for the playoffs? It impacted him to the point where he missed time to start the season. Signing Paul George to a max contract after, shockingly, in a contract year, he was healthy.
Yes.
But all the years before that, he was not. There's a chance he could get injured. He's now going to miss probably a couple more games after already missing a couple of games to start the season. I personally have a concern that Maxey is not good enough yet by himself in order to win games. Like, if Embiid and Paul George are both out, I don't think Maxey is good enough to win games. All the build around Maxey people, I think you're going to be talking about a play-in team. I saw that come to light at the beginning of the season when both Paul George and Joel Embiid were out. And then the last one is all right, let's get a bunch of guys here again. A totally new roster once again, which I like the depth of this team. But sometimes you can't just roll a basketball out there and say, play basketball and figure it out. And it's not working for them. They're 2-12.
They're 2-12. I do think you can win games with Tyrese Maxey. I get what you're saying. The build around Maxey people are not seeing that. This is not a team built around Tyrese Maxey.
No.
I do think you can win games with him. I am excited to see him play more with Jared McCain. I think that was a revelation that we weren't. I mean, here's the 16th overall pick, and you thought, oh, it's a pretty good player.
Do you think they fit? Because I don't.
I do. Look at Cleveland. Very similar sized guards in Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland.
Fair.
Now, obviously, Donovan Mitchell is a very good defender. Darius Garland is not. So Jared McCain's not a bad defender. Tyrese Maxey is not a bad defender.
Willing.
They are willing defenders.
That's a good
word. They're willing defenders. But those are 2 similarly sized guards that average about 23, 25 points respectively. And you're thinking it works for them. It's not complete apples to apples, but I think that there is a takeaway when you look at the Cleveland backcourt and think it can work. Now you look at the front court of Cleveland, and obviously very good with Jared Allen and with Evan Mobley. You need to have those players. You have to have the ranginess.
And guys that can catch and shoot a 3, which the Sixers
guys that can get on the court. I mean, it's a really low bar at this point,
you're right?
But I think that it is. If you have the complement that we saw last night, that starting 5, I thought the beginning of the season, that was the starting 5 that I would wanted. I liked Jared McCain in college. I thought he could play with Tyrese Maxey in the backcourt. I thought it was a good fit because of what I had seen similarly sized guards playing in the back. It's not a complete unheard of. I get it. They're undersized. You'd rather have a 6'6" guy. They don't. You'd rather have Cam Johnson up in Brooklyn, but you don't have him either.
Right.
So
Nick Nurse doing a good job?
I'm fine with Nick Nurse. I feel like it's still an incomplete if I had to give him a grade because he's had 5 minutes with the players he thought he was going to have. 5. I think that there's some adjustments that I look at times and I think, well, that's an interesting combo. But I think he's honestly, we said it last night. Jim Lynam said he's just like he's trying to play every card on his deck. I said he's looking at the cards and they don't match. He's got an Uno card, an Ace of Spades, and a Go Fish. Nothing out there matches. He's using these cards and he's trying to make a hand, and it's like, this doesn't make any sense. He's grasping at straws and there's no straws left.
How are Coach and Mark Jackson doing?
They're great. I need to start posting clips, edited highly, of us watching the games because they're great. They really are great. It's a lot of fun at times. We have to smile at times.
Yeah, because it's hard to smile right now with the 2-12 Sixers.
That crew, you guys, though, you can find some ways to smile, and that's good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we
especially after a bad game.
Yeah, we look for a positive. Yabusele was positive. McCain's a positive.
And Embiid looked better yesterday.
He did. It's a 35 points. He looked
just need
complete
to start
game, start to finish.
Freaking winning games.
We'll take one.
Coming up next, we'll check our text line, our calls, because we've been chit-chatting a lot this hour. Any responses from the best show ever yet? I have not seen any.
I don't know, but I haven't blocked them.
610-632-0975 is the number you could text or you could call. We'll get some of Amy's final thoughts, who joins us for the entire 8 o'clock hour right here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds Insider Update.
On the battle, what should the battle be called?
The battle of misinformation? Wait a minute. It was completely debunked. With time, date, stamp, texts.
Well,
and
Tyrone
photos.
has just chimed in on social media saying he trusts his sources.
Well, then he's seriously.
But battle of the what? What's his battle name?
I don't know.
I don't know. Look. If he trusts this, then he doesn't trust his eyes, or he doesn't trust you. As you read
I did read.
time, date, stamped. Everything is time, date, stamped.
Now, here's the big one. If we're asking people to take sides, there is a show in between the shows.
Oh, yes.
I have 2 lawyers on my side because I know this about the 2 lawyers that follow me. They just want the facts. And the facts are completely with me.
Well, let's not act like some lawyers haven't tried to win a case for somebody that they know may have been guilty, John.
That did happen.
I say we keep the Mike Missanelli show out of this. Listen,
but it's the border.
No,
they are the border patrol.
More like a cushion. More like a cushion.
Listen, man,
cushion.
You
Like
add
like
more
a
sides
buffer.
to the fight. If you're not 100% sure they're your allies, they could become an enemy.
No.
And we're fighting a war on two fronts.
You
I
could,
trust
you
both-
could give each of them the evidence, and one will argue till they're blue in the face about all the things where you're wrong.
I trust
That's what a
both
lawyer
of
does,
their-
and I appreciate it.
I trust both of their emotional intelligences to look at just the facts of the matter. I was sitting there in the room, ready to go, time, date stamped, on time for the meeting. There's no argument.
Maybe it was user error.
No. So, whatever happened, I'm there in the room. It shows me in the room.
You were there.
So I was there. It wasn't user error. Something was not working. But it worked out finally. We got it fixed.
Got it fixed.
Third try, got it fixed.
Amy, we have a caller for you.
Oh.
Let's go to Paul in D.C. Paul, you're on the Fanatic, Kincade Salciunas, and, of course, Amy Fadul.
Hey, thanks for having me. Amy, you were talking about Nick Nurse and things he can do to improve his hand. So why doesn't he sit down Gordon, Lowry, Jackson, and maybe even Drummond and call up Bona, Quinones, Edwards? I saw Drummond try to do a closeout, go for a pump fake, and the guy went to the rim on a straight layup line. It's looking bad, but you got younger energy that can maybe have some toughness and grit to pick up the energy on the team.
Amy, I'll let you start. And thanks for the call, Paul. We appreciate it.
I appreciate this. I will say one thing. Andre Drummond offensively leaves a lot to be desired. And I think that there's probably a little bit of truth in what Paul was talking about, maybe give a little boost to a Dembona, because I think he's shown flashes, an energy type of guy. I don't think he's completely ready for this game. I don't think his size sometimes is going to be there to match it. I will say no to a guy that I watched his entire college career, all one season of it. Justin Edwards is not ready yet. He's obviously not up with the team. He's not ready yet. Lester Quinones also not quite ready yet. But I think there are Eric Gordon there's some games where he's a DNP or a very limited minutes. Reggie
by the
Jackson,
way, he only played 4 minutes last
there
night.
you go.
So it's not like he played yesterday.
I get the idea of it. We knew when they signed Eric Gordon and Reggie Jackson, these are older guards, and so it was depth. Kyle Lowry obviously wasn't playing last night either. So Jeff Doughton is the guy that you would go to. So I think that maybe the names were not correct for Paul. There is some thought, and I think that you've seen that. Jeff Doughton, we always look at, we have this thing, such and such first quarter minutes. Jeff Doughton first quarter minutes. Jeff Doughton first half minutes. Like, that's eye-opening because it shows me that Nick Nurse is trying to get something out there. He's messing with these lineups and thinking, all right, I'll try this guy out here. Jeff Doughton is a good energy guy. He can be a microwave scorer if given the opportunity.
By the way, Jared McCain played 41 minutes last.
Jared McCain, 6 straight games with 20 points.
Yeah.
The entire lottery from this past draft doesn't have 6 total combined games of 20 points.
If I had 3 options for you, a coaching staff member, a player who was here last year, or a player who has joined the team this year, the leaker, who was the Dylan McKinnon of the 76ers?
It's just some staff member.
A coaching staff member? So you're thinking, your gut instinct is staff member.
That's a very loose term.
Okay, but no, it is. And I know that how these things work. Sometimes it filters down. A coach says something to a staff member.
It could be like he
says it was somebody in the meeting, though.
But that's a locker room meeting.
So that means coaches, players. But I'm thinking, what would be most your guess, all of you?
I don't know.
A player who was here last year, a player who joined the team this year or a member of the coaching staff. My guess would be a player who joined this year.
Yeah, but that's pretty much everybody.
Yeah, I know.
But that's where I would lean.
There was a lot of tinfoil caps the other day. The one that I liked the most was Eric Gordon because there were issues in Phoenix last year, and he was with the Suns last year, and now there's early issues with the Sixers, and he's here with the Sixers. That was my favorite one out of the tinfoil cap people.
Yeah.
And then somebody found an article. Nick Nurse said in Toronto, we have to address the elephant in the room, and the report said there's an elephant in the room. So there's a lot of great investigative journalism going on.
That's an expression.
Yes.
That
it is an older.
I mean,
it is an older expression.
Now you see, there it is.
So
there it is.
So then
it's
maybe
like
go to
40.
a veteran player type of vibe.
I'd go staff over player.
Yeah, I mean, the thing
what
is,
would be the motivation for the staff? Shame Embiid?
No, I mean maybe, but I think a lot of it is you feel the importance.
Oh, you get to I've got the information.
I don't know.
Yeah, for Shams.
I don't know why people would do it, but
that's the truth. And it was
not
dirty.
that big of a deal.
It was dirty to do that.
No.
Well, thank God we don't have that problem here at the
there's no
Fanatic.
weakness here.
Amy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys.
For
Thanks
the
for
hour.
having me. I'll see you guys
It
next
goes by
week.
too quick.
It does.
And, we appreciate you making the drive in the bad weather
course.
to come here for an hour.
Extra
we
large.
appreciate it.
And welcome to the war.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I'm in. I'm Switzerland.
Look,
I'm Switzerland.
So is Ray Dunn.
Ray Dunn. He is. Is he really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is he really?
He might be smart. All right, coming up next, our man Kevin Nagandi from ESPN joins us to start the 9 o'clock hour. We reset the entire show after that and a whole lot more. 9 o'clock hour ahead on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Birds are getting set to head cross country. I'm Connor Thomas. This update's brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. The Eagles are getting set to fly from here to L.A. Yes, the longest trip on their schedule as they prepare to take on the Los Angeles Rams. Sunday night football on the docket for the Birds coming up this week. And Jalen Hurts talked about, this time of the season, not just the health part of it, but also the team's mentality.
I think it's not about all health. I think it's the mentality where we are. And so that's in the back of my mind as we're into this phase and putting the emphasis on finishing strong, putting ourselves in a good place.
Well, the Eagles have put themselves in a good place, but they maybe will have to focus on health this week. Edge rusher Bryce Huff is set to undergo wrist surgery, putting him out for Sunday's game and potentially a lot longer, so someone will have to fill that spot. Devontae Smith, Milton Williams, and Jalen Hunt all also missed practice yesterday, so we'll see if the Eagles are shorthanded come Sunday night. The Sixers' nightmare start continued last night. 117-111, the loss to the Memphis Grizzlies, and the loss of Paul George looms much larger. He hyperextended his left knee, the same injury he had that caused him to miss the start of this season. So things going from bad to worse for the Sixers. The Flyers fell to the Hurricanes 4-1 last night. Ryan Poehling had the lone goal. We'll talk to Kevin Nagandi of ESPN coming up next. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bill Colarulo.
This defense, when you can play.
is 9 a.m. on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We are very, very positive about the Eagles today. We are
It's for every good reason, right?
Yep, and we are the complete opposite for very good reason with the Philadelphia 76ers. So there's always a great man to turn to when we want to talk all things Philadelphia sports with, because no matter where he is on this earth, it may be Bristol, Connecticut, but that doesn't matter. Philadelphia is always in his heart. On the Comcast Business Hotline, every day in business, a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From ESPN, our man Kevin Agandi joins us. Kevin, good morning.
You know what I was doing all morning, guys?
Crying?
No. I was looking for a Kelly Green, Saquon Barkley youth jersey in large and medium.
Nice.
For my two boys. And I had them last week, and I held off from buying them. And they're sold out.
No. We'll find them. We'll find them. Somebody is going to get it to us, get it to Andrew or I. We'll find them for you. We'll get you the link.
But I bring that up to you guys that it stays true no matter where I live and what I do. That was been the request in the household because it's been a great run, and we're going to learn a lot more about this defense on Sunday night. And I cannot wait to see how this plays out, because this offense got to figure things out in that first quarter and score some points, because Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay and Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are going to challenge this defense. And I want to learn more about the defense, because it's been such a great experience and fun experience when you see this team hit and hit and hit and play like a team that hits and likes to hit. What a difference from a year ago of understanding the defensive concepts and being at the right place. And the attitude. Like, Jalen Carter is playing like a beast, and that has helped out that second layer with Zach Vaughn and Nakobe Dean. And can't say enough good things about Q and Cooper. It's been fantastic to watch them in Fangio's defense after the Bucs game.
Two of the worst first quarter scoring teams in football will meet up. That's why I'm betting the under. That's why I'm betting the under on Sunday night. I'm just going to tell you out there, two of the worst teams getting out of the gate fast. When you think of a team, Kevin, that has a chance to get to a Super Bowl or win one, would you want the team to be led more by their defense than their offense, or their offense by their defense?
Oh, in this modern NFL?
Yes, this is today in 2024, because right now I would venture to believe this team's being led by its defense.
Yeah, but I would want the offense. I would want the offense. Just listen. The defense in today's NFL doesn't have to be top 10. It doesn't have to be. It's a bend don't break kind of mentality. You want them to attack. You want them to hold on. But like, let's take another team here. Let's look at the Steelers. The Steelers' defense has been dominant. Russell Wilson is the worst quarterback in the red zone. They've won 2 games on just field goals alone. I think that's torture. You can't win a lot of playoff games that way. You've got to find a way to score touchdowns in the red zone. Your defense has got to shut things down, but you've got to find a way, because it's that window of success gets smaller and smaller in the playoffs if your offense cannot generate points. So I would say I want my offense to stand out and be better than the defense if we're talking about a Super Bowl run.
So do you believe this is a game where you will learn about this Eagles team? Not obviously have all the information that you need, but are you going to learn whether this team is ready for a long run or not this Sunday?
I think the next 2 Sundays or the next 2 weeks, because you've got Matthew Stafford and you got Lamar Jackson. They're the 2 best quarterbacks they'll face so far this season, and you'll learn a hell of a lot about both of them and how they respond to this defense and the defense, and 2 completely different quarterbacks, right? And 2 different schemes. They'll learn a heck of a lot about how do the rookies handle it. How does Jalen Carter handle it? Are they at the right place doing the right things? Will we see that this team is missing a bona fide closer in a pass rusher if it's a close game, right? Because you want one of those. We had that a year ago in Hassan Reddick, like close game, let's shut it down, that final drive, let's get a sack, right? They don't have that. So can you generate a pass rush consistently to pressure the quarterback, especially when they're rolling out and trying to create plays? I think we'll learn a heck of a lot over the next 2 weeks about our defense. To me, more than anything else, we talked about this at length here about the offense. There are so many studs and stars and talent on the offense. Can the coaching scheme figure things out in the first quarter? I was really, really impressed with the approach, the entire approach that Kellen Moore had in that Commanders game, where the running attack between the tackles wasn't working in the third quarter, but he stayed consistent, right? At one point, Saquon had like 20 carries, and he was averaging 3 yards a carry, and then eventually you'll wear them down because the strength is the offensive line, and he stayed consistent. Kellen Moore stayed consistent with the idea of the play calling in the second, third, and fourth quarters. What are you going to do in that first quarter? Cannot be pass happy. Cannot have 3 and outs because you just want to throw the ball constantly. You're going to eventually find a way to break the dam, but you've got to just constantly be consistent with what you want to do, and that is mixing it up with the run pass.
You brought up the modern era of football, so I ask, and you sort of led into it here, can a team win a Super Bowl being a run-first or a run-primary offense?
I don't know. I don't know, John. The Eagles did, believe it or not, that 2017 team was a team that ran the ball really well.
They did.
Foles played the 2 greatest games of his life. So that played a role here. And the Eagles were they were a running team, and if you count all those Jalen runs in 2022. So you can figure that out, but eventually the quarterback's got to make some passes. We've seen that with Mahomes. He made passes on that final quarter that just killed us. That absolutely killed us. So I don't know if you can win a Super Bowl with a run-first mentality, but the 2 biggest acquisitions in the offseason, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, for, I think, quarterbacks that like it, that add that element, and that also can open up the field. And when you have the lead, you can run with the football, right? And you can pound, and you stay ball control there, and you dictate it that way. So you can have your closer as a running back with a lead, but you also need to have a quarterback that can bounce back, because that's what Patrick Mahomes has done, all right? And guys, look at the biggest outcomes of this past week, right? It was quarterbacks that decided, I'm not losing the game. The ball's got to be in my hand, and they decided the outcome. And Josh Allen was not going to lose that game. Geno Smith was not going to lose that game. And the Ravens with Lamar Jackson trying to tie that game. Play call was terrible. I thought who they had on the field was terrible. But in the end, what did the coordinators decide? We've got to give it to our best player. He's got to figure it out. That whether that's run or potentially pass, they've got to figure out the game at the end.
ESPN's Kevin Nagandi on the Comcast Business Hotline with us. Philadelphia's Kevin Nagandi on the Comcast Business Hotline. So Kevin knows
Phoenixville gets him first, and then Philly.
Kevin knows the highs of Philadelphia sports. He obviously knows the lows. Kevin, do the Sixers ever turn this thing around?
I was doing my best to make this an all-Eagles segment. I was doing my best, guys.
Thank you for the effort.
I noticed there's no Sixers jerseys on the Christmas search list.
No, not right now, even though the new city editions are amazing.
They are really
sleek.
Cool.
They are.
All right, now that we got the chummy stuff out of the way, what the hell is wrong with this basketball team?
It's bad, man. And then you see, Paul George, you're just like, oh, my gosh, what the hell's going on? Last night, again, I brought this up multiple times. It's November. But last night was the first time I was like, okay, they've got to finish 20 games over 500 the rest of the way if they want to finish the season 10 games over 500. So I started playing that. If they want to finish, I think it was 46 and 36. I think those are the right numbers for an 82-game schedule. They've got to now go 20 games above 500 the rest of the way. And I just don't know if they could do it. So I have no answer. Last night, Embiid gave us his best game. He was great, but I have no answer. That Grizzlies team didn't have Ja Morant.
It's 6 guys out.
It's
incredible.
I got nothing, guys. I got nothing. Literally nothing.
Have you ever seen a team where every logical concern has come to light. Embiid injury, Paul George injury, bunch of veterans not figuring out how to play with one another just yet. Like every legitimate concern, I don't think over-the-top concern that was addressed before the season started has come to light. They're 2-12 because of it.
It's rock bottom. And my biggest fear is that I said it's rock bottom, and next week I'm going to say, well, we figured out another low. I don't have an answer. And I am a proud Sixers fan, and I'm always optimistic. And I'm always like, okay, I'll be realistic here, but let's look at, like, the positives here. I got nothing, guys. I wish I could. How about the Eagles and their 6-game winning streak?
Go Birds,
and,
Kev.
There we go.
Go Birds, Kev.
The things they're going to do. And the Flyers are giving us hope. I've got nothing right now as the Sixers find their way through the muck. They've got to dig themselves out of this, man. This is a hole that they only the Sixers can put themselves in this hole, and it's the only way for them. They've got to dig it out, and it starts with 21 figuring it out.
As your colleague Tim Bontemps said the other day, for a Sixers franchise that specializes in drama, this season is quickly approaching new heights less than a month in. Kevin, we appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Kev.
Go Birds!
Go
There
Birds.
we go.
That's all we
Good
got.
way to end.
There he is, Kevin Nagandi on the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. Yeah, Tim Bontemps, that tweet that he put out 2 nights ago. Or
And they
3
do.
nights
They
ago.
specialize in drama.
It's unbelievable.
And
man.
a lot of it is self-inflicted and been allowed to exist.
I'm still waiting for the 30 for 30 to be announced, and if they need somebody to speak in it, I will gladly do it. Just have
Well, you were one of the cosplayers.
Just have a box of tissues next to me because there will be tears.
30 for 30?
60 for 60?
Keep adding.
90
you think
for
they could
90.
put all of this in a single
90
film?
for, well, I mean, is this the Michael Jordan 10-parter?
No,
it's 20.
because the rest of the country doesn't give a damn enough.
Oh.
There's not, because there wasn't a payoff of the team being good. So the rest of this is of interest to us very much, front and center. To the rest of the country, they're like, no. They'd be like, no, they're not watching that.
No, they might because
30 for 30 they'd watch.
Think about it. A lot of people hate the Sixers.
Yeah, but they're not watching a big one on this one.
No, but they might love the
Oh, they love to see them, yeah, absolutely mocked for it, sure.
the fake rise and real fall of the Sixers. They're like that. Like there might be people that would want to watch that from outside of Philadelphia because of how much people hate the Sixers.
Yeah, like if I'm a basketball fan, I want to know how Ben Simmons mentally collapsed.
Yeah.
I want to know how Markelle Fultz in a month forgot how to shoot a basketball. I want to know how the Sixers chose Tobias Harris over whoever they chose Tobias Harris over.
And, oh, by the way, Joel Embiid, obviously he's becoming a villain for some here. He's been a villain outside of Philadelphia. People would love to see I imagine there would be people that would love to see a story on the lack of success.
Well, I think they know the story, but I don't know if it's...
Dude, I don't think they know the story. Sometimes I forget about, like, I have to remind myself that Markelle Fultz, his arm just stopped working.
Like the way that Joel Embiid is talked about here compared to the way he's talked about around the country is completely different. It's a completely different narrative
I'm sure.
on Joel Embiid in NBA cities than it is here.
I'm sure.
Well, yeah, but that's not just him. Like the narrative on Trae Young is different in Atlanta than it is anywhere else because we hate the way he plays basketball.
Yeah,
He's
by
a
the way,
talented player.
Trae Young takes as many bullets there as Joel does here.
Jalen Brunson, the narrative is different other places because we hate him for taking a lesser contract in the way that he gets a crazy whistle for no reason. Like anyone outside of their city is going to have a different narrative than inside it.
I think it's pretty unanimous on Embiid, though. I don't think you're going to find places of Embiid where Embiid is not spoken of anywhere in this country the way he's spoken of here, as far as from the positive side of it. He's not.
Yeah, because he's a villain. People don't like him.
Yeah, they
and
don't
that's
like
why
him.
they might want
They
to
don't dig
watch a 90 for 90 or a 120 for
90 for
120.
Keep going.
Keep going.
All right, what do we have on the text line, Connor? We'll get to some calls as well. Talk to the people. We've been busy. We obviously had Amy for the entire 8 o'clock hour and Kevin just now to start the 9 o'clock hour. But our two main topics today, are you in cruise control with the Eagles? My buddy Jack told me that yesterday. He said, I look at the teams behind the Eagles. I'm not worried. They'll be in the NFC Championship game.
Wow.
I'm kind of just cruising to that point. And then the Sixers lose again, and Paul George is hurt again. And it leads me to ask the question. It's not, are you fearing the worst at this point? Are you expecting the worst? And the worst is they don't make the playoffs. The worst is it's over after this year. Like, there's a lot of worsts that come to mind.
If you're going to be in the play-in tournament, after the way this year started, if you end up in February and they're still floundering around, but they got a chance to sneak into the play-in tournament, Are you going to – you really would – I wonder if fans would really prefer that to the lottery. Because you want to get a top 6 pick to keep your pick.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, honestly.
Right now, they're dead last.
I think that's where a lot of people would go, is that you want a top 6 pick because you want to go.
Because people are emotionally drained.
Because you're not going to, like, who wants to be the 10 seed?
Right, but
you're not going anywhere.
That Nets comparison of the Kyrie, KD, and Harden Nets shows you exactly why that's wrong. Because they were, if KD's shoe size was one smaller, they're knocking off the team that won the championship.
Yeah, they beat the Bucks.
So, and I'm not saying that's what the Sixers are going to do. But when you have this talent, you've got to try and make it work.
Yeah, you're going to try to make it work. Now, are they healthy? Are they together? Are they
All
playing?
of these are valid concerns, and most likely it doesn't work. But you have to take that shot.
Most likely it doesn't work, though. At least you're honest.
All right, what do we got in the text line?
Well, most likely for every team it doesn't work because the Celtics are unstoppable.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, there's a difference between working getting you to a conference finals, working getting you out of the second round.
I got you.
And winning a championship.
I got you. One team hoists the trophy. Ben from Bucks County checks in. And this is where we see people are starting to lose their minds with the Sixers, this I know. He says, is it possible that the worst signing in Sixers history, Tobias Harris, was just outdone by the successor, Paul George?
No, it's too early to say that.
What are we doing, guys?
It's too early to say that. Now, again, I did not want the Sixers to sign Paul George.
The philosophy of it, though, I can get where the texter's coming from.
I did not want to sign Paul George because
old.
And it's not just the old,
injured.
It's the injured. That's the thing. Like Kevin Durant's old. I would have signed Kevin Durant, right? It's just Paul George is always hurt. And Paul George is supposed to be the insurance policy for your always hurt starting center. So your insurance policy is another always injured player who just so happened to not get hurt during a contract year last year. And it's like that's where I go, all right, it's too early to say the whole Tobias Harris thing. But I will tell you, I never wanted Paul George because of this. The basketball player,
right,
who is Paul George, I wanted a
that's
wing
different.
that can fit with Embiid and Maxey that they've never had. Problem is, when is he going to play?
Right, but we're so immediate. Like, if Paul George had this knee injury every postseason for 6 years, then we could start to talk about him with the Tobias Harris stuff. That dude never showed up. Paul George is how many games into a Sixers career?
I got you.
Like, we're not doing that.
I'm not doing that, no. All right, let's go to Don in South Philly. What's up, Don?
What's up, Donnie?
How you doing? Good morning.
What's up, brother?
I think we need to start with Nick Nurse, getting him out of here.
That's not happening.
Why would
he's the worst coach? He's the worst coach in history.
In history?
In history.
Yes. He did not.
He's
win
better than Eddie Jordan, or he's worse than Eddie Jordan?
No.
Listen, man. He did not win the championship over there in Toronto. That was all Kawhi Leonard. He was just that year he was shooting like God.
Yeah, he had the best player in the world for him. You're right.
And he got to travel in that Game 7.
Yes, but come on, man. He's not the worst coach ever, dude.
The next year, Siakam left because they couldn't make the playoffs. It shows you. Once
They made the playoffs the next year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and Pascal Siakam.
No, they did. I think they did.
He was still with the Raptors up until last year.
Yeah, exactly. I think they made the playoffs the next year.
They did. I remember they were like a top 4 seed.
Yeah, they were. That's false.
That's all right. Thanks for the call, Don. We appreciate it.
Come on now. Again, I'll listen to somebody who wants to tell me that Nick Nurse hasn't done a great job this year, and I think Nick Nurse would tell us so. I think Nick Nurse would say, I'm not pleased with the job I've done this year. I really do. I think he'd be honest with it.
They lost in the Eastern Conference semifinals the following year. Without Kawhi Leonard, they won 53 games that year.
They did a really good job.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job that year without Kawhi.
But he needs to do a better job this year. And I think he'd admit it. I think he'd say it.
Yes.
He better say it.
Coming up next, 9:35-ish, our man Michael Westwood's going to be joining us. And I can't believe I'm going to ask this question. But I'm going to ask the question. DeJean or Covey? 610-632-0975. I'll explain more next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Birds having the right mentality. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. The Eagles, well, they've just got a couple of days until their next matchup. It's been a long week with the Thursday night game against the Commanders giving them a couple extra days to prepare, but they're heading cross-country soon to take on the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football. And Jalen Hurts talked about this time of year, well, there are certain pitfalls, and it's not just health, it's also keeping the right mentality.
I think it's not about all health. I think it's the mentality where we are. And so that's in the back of my mind as we're in this phase and putting the emphasis on finishing strong, putting ourselves in a good place.
And yet, health is still certainly a factor. Eagles edge rusher Bryce Huff set to undergo wrist surgery this week, putting him out for Sunday's game and potentially significantly longer. We'll keep you updated on his status going forward. Devontae Smith, Milton Williams, and Jalix Hunt all missed practice yesterday, so we'll keep you updated on their availability for Sunday night. The Sixers, well, it just went from bad to worse, folks. They had a nightmare game in Memphis, 117-111 loss to the Grizzlies. They're now 2-12, and they saw Paul George hyperextend the same left knee that caused him to miss the start of the season. So he'll miss some time. We'll see how much. Keep you updated on that. It's just not a great start for the Sixers. The Flyers fell to the Hurricanes 4-1 last night. Ryan Poehling had the lone goal for the Flyers. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Tyrone Johnson.
9:30 on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. During the break, I may have done the most athletic thing of my life, Connor.
I can't get over it.
So John is Ben Simmons when it comes to shooting his pieces of paper into the trash
Some
can.
days. I didn't have a miss yesterday until my last miss. Today, I've been bricking everything.
Yeah, but you're shooting them granny style.
Today, I'm bricking for – no, sometimes
He's
I work
bricking
at
for
top,
chicken.
sometimes
Yeah,
I go on the side.
we're getting Chick-fil-A soon.
No, right now, no one should pay for Chick-fil-A for a week today with this performance.
So I knew he was about to take the shot. So I took my hat off.
Complete back to me.
All I did was swing my hand back and snagged it right into the cap.
With his hat.
Almost lacrosse-esque, but behind the back.
It was incredible.
And John's my witness. He literally wished it was on camera. But unfortunately,
I said that was great.
Nobody saw it.
Oh, my God. Actually, the Phillies just called. They're non-tendering Stubbs. You're the new backup catcher.
Nice.
Wait a minute. Does that really happen?
Congrats. Yeah.
Is Vibes Day here?
No, we don't know that
We
yet.
don't know yet. No.
No, that was more for the joke, John. I know you're excited to get rid of Stubbs.
By the way,
Can we wait? Now you're hearing, too. You heard the MLB Network talking about it and everything, about the potentially there is a shopping of the starting catcher who's going into his
I
last
saw that, yeah. I don't know who. I guess they would try to do something with Marchand, and they have another kid in the farm system.
They would get a veteran up
I
here.
would guess so,
Right.
yeah. By the way, speaking because you brought it up, Alec Boehm, there was talks about a Royals reporter was saying that the Royals have made calls, and they're willing to flip one of their starters. Because remember, they had 4 guys that had career years last year.
Do we need another starter?
Yes,
You're going to move Walker, or you're going to try to find a way to get him off your team.
You're going to try to find a way to get him off your roster.
There's already talks about Ranger potentially being traded.
Well, no. Is what I'm saying to you is that so that means you need another one this year right now?
Yeah, because you need a fifth.
Yeah,
Andrew Painter's not going to throw.
Yeah, Painter's not going to be ready for midway through, right?
I mean, Painter could easily be ready by May 1st.
Well, the problem is he's going to be on an innings restriction. So
I
do you
understand.
want that guy to be the 5th spot and then you have to fill in for him later? Or would you rather him be used
Take
in the
his
minors
time.
cautiously and then brought up?
You know how I feel about this loading up on pitching thing. I don't believe it works.
Well, you're not.
Well, so you should have less pitching?
No, I said I
Let's
don't
get
want to
more
go.
time
No,
on
we need.
Walkers.
How about getting guys who are competent at the plate, who can actually handle the bat,
you could do
who
both.
know how
They're
to
working on that too.
who know how to swing and miss like they're at Topgolf.
It's not one or the other. There's no cap.
There is. It's no, but there is a cap. John Middleton is flat out quoted as saying it. He goes, "I am not going to be how much money he's lost on this team without getting a trophy. He's never going to be able to convince his wife to go that much further."
I know. I saw it.
So believe him.
Our
The
man,
wife spoke.
our man Michael Westwood from GBIWins.com is going to be joining us momentarily. But I asked the question going to the break. I'd like to hear your answer on it. I said DeJean or Covey. I'm talking about punt returning, obviously.
Covey. I don't want DeJean getting hurt in a punt return.
I know.
DeJean is not a safety.
Like, I know, but he's been so damn good at it. Now, I know Britton Covey was really good at it, too.
No, I do not want a dynamic starting safety, slot corner, whatever you want to call him. I do not want him returning punts.
I'm with you.
He breaks a collarbone.
I know.
Well, seriously, I do not
with
want
you.
it.
I'm not disagreeing with
and
you.
And the DC doesn't want it either.
I know. Yeah, he was pretty honest about that.
He answered
beforehand.
I hate it.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. This guy helps you move forward with what's next like every single week because he just keeps on finding ways to make us money. He's literally from GBIWins.com. I love that that's the name of the website, GBIWins.com. But call the free record line, 1-800-885-2525. The number again, 1-800-885-2525. Our man, Michael Westwood from GBIWins.com. Michael, good morning.
There's my guys, my fanatic guys. What's happening, fellas? I am freaking jacked up once again. Guys, you definitely owe me a steak dinner.
Yeah, honestly, it's gotten to that point.
You guys are making money upon money because of my picks. I mean, again, in Thursday night football, you know what our record is. We're 10-1 right now, heading into Week 12. I mean, what more can I do for you guys? I mean, tonight I've got my AFC North game of the year, Pittsburgh playing Cleveland. I'm going to be at that game with 7 of my largest clients. So what I'm going to do is this. Again, I'm going to win. There's no doubt about it. I'm going to hand this winner out to your listeners on my free recorded comp line. The number is 1-800-885-2525. Again, that's 1-800-885-2525. 2525. You're going to be connected to my free recorded hotline where you're going to get my AFC North Game of the Year Plus, and this is very important, fellas, if you are one of my top 250 callers right now, you're also going to get the winner of the over-under this evening. What more can I do?
Well, how about some Saturday morning, right? People can still get some college football this weekend, right?
You know what? It's a great point because after tonight's game with these clients, we're heading over and we're going to the Ohio State-Indiana matchup. Guys, you know the record of both teams. This is the time of year, guys, where you could build your bankroll. The next 10 days is tremendous for us. So, once again, I'm going to invite you to contact my free recorded comp line. The number is 1-800-885-2525. Again, that's 1-800-885-2525. You're going to get my AFC North Game of the Year on my recorded message line. And for the first 250 callers, you're also going to get the over-under.
And again, for the people that don't know and have not been following the journey of Michael Westwood this year, he is 10-1 on his Thursday night picks this year. And you gave me the little added note, the AFC, North Game of the Year. You're 21-3 on these picks over the last 24 years. The information that you guys get, and talk a little bit more about your company, because you're not just going, oh, I like this team. You have information that backs everything up.
You know, that's a very, very good point. I want to bring up something to you guys, and I keep saying this every single week, okay? Less is more when it comes to sports betting, okay? Perfect example, I've got a client, let's call him Stephen H. He's from Long Island. He gets my information every week. He's a huge player, but he cannot get it into his head that you're not going to make money betting parlays, reverses. It's not going to be like that, okay? What you guys have to do is focus on one play, a game that I'm going to give out, and play that game, okay? I'm not going to hit 100% of the time, but my percentage is absolutely incredible. And once again, this is a huge, huge 10-day stint in football. You know, I didn't even mention Thanksgiving is coming up next Thursday. I give out what I call my Thanksgiving Turkey Day of the Year. What I do is I give out 3 NFL games, and I hit every single year. So, once again, let's focus on tonight's game, okay? This is a phenomenal game. The line right now is 3.5 points. The over-under is 37. Nobody knows who to pick, okay? I'm telling you now, Vegas is way off on these lines, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my AFC North Game of the Year just by calling my free recorded number right now, 1-800-885-2525. Again, 1-800-885-2525. Get this information now. If you like what you see and you win again, which you will, give us a call back and get involved with us.
You got the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game tonight. You have Ohio State-Indiana on Saturday. And you mentioned it, your Thanksgiving Day 3-team shootout. As I would like to be falling asleep to the tryptophan while also knowing that my bank account continues to increase with your picks. Michael, you're the man. You've been killing it all season long, not only here on the show, but with your picks. We appreciate all the insight that you provided for us. Again, the phone number is 1-800-885-2525. That's 1-800-885-2525. You're the man, and again, you're a great honorary Eagles fan this season. We appreciate it.
Go Eagles, guys. Have a great, great week. I'm not going to be on the radio next week, so get involved with us right now. Again, 1-800-885-2525. Happy Thanksgiving to all. I'll talk to you guys soon.
You're the man. There he is,
Thanks,
Michael
Michael
Westwood. Thanks, brother, on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. 1-800-885-2525. And again, GBIwins.com. I can't wait for Thanksgiving football, man. It's the best because
the games are pretty bad, though.
Yeah.
The first one is the best one, and that rarely is ever the case.
And you know what's going to happen?
It's Bears-Lions, right?
Yes.
And that's the best we got going. Now we have a rooting interest. We have to watch every Lions game. You got to watch. You have to keep your eye on every Lions game and hope that somebody is going to pull the upset.
By the way,
I actually think the Colts
Dolphins-Packers isn't bad because the Dolphins have won, 2 straight? They're back into the playoff hunt, so at least it's a decent game.
I'm actually looking at this weekend with Lions-Colts. Colts can play games tight.
Yeah.
You never know what could happen in Indianapolis.
You never know.
We need a gift.
What Anthony Richardson do you get?
I'll tell you this. We need a gift. He should never have been benched. But I think they benched him for the disciplinary reasons of saying,
Yeah,
we're going to teach
you can't say
look
that
at
you
him,
pulled yourself
look
out
at
of the
him.
game because you were tired.
And I'm surprised they did it for 2 weeks because they're a different team with him in there.
Oh, yeah.
He's
It's not- with all
he's
due
a
respect
tough
to
son of a
franchise quarterback Joe
tough.
Flacco.
Well, you
Yes.
need backup Flacco. He's only good when he gets entered into a game.
You're right.
See, there you go.
You're right.
So you start him and get a lead, and then you go Flacco in the second half, and you beat the brakes off teams.
Or he's good when the quarterback gets hurt, like last
Exactly.
year.
There we go.
Yeah, we've
You're right.
solved
That's
the Joe
a good, That's a
Flacco.
good point, Connor. All right, coming up next, it is the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. We have more responses from Tyrone Johnson and Dylan McKinnon. Now, I have recently caught a stray as well. I don't know why.
What happened to you? All you did was read the facts.
I'll explain more coming up next. It is Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
D-line 'em.
So Embiid's team is second from the bottom in the Eastern Conference. It is so frustrating to continue to report on this guy.
76.
Kincade Salciunas here on 97.5, The Fanatic. Happy Thursday morning. Hope you had a safe driving to work today. And I hope you're getting excited for the Mike Missanelli show at 10 o'clock. And the best show ever at 2. Will there be a response?
I would imagine there would be. Mike's dressed like $1 million today, by the way.
He always is, man.
Yeah, but no, Mike's today duded up.
All right, well.
I don't know what's going on.
Make sure you're watching on YouTube, man.
It looks sharp.
So I'm curious. Why did I catch a stray here?
What did you catch a stray
Is
for?
it guilty by association? And I did say I'm standing in solidarity with John Kincade, all right? Foxhole man.
What happened?
But Tyrone Johnson said, I am not a snitch, unlike the morning people.
Uh-oh, here we go.
But I will say to John and Andrew that Dylan McKinnon is not the leak. Now, during the break, Dylan was basically Richard Nixon saying, I am not a crook during the break.
He was.
But who did I snitch on? Why am I
What are we
catching strays?
snitching on? I mean,
meanwhile, you weren't even tagged. You somehow got absolved of all of this.
I don't do anything, bro.
Well, you said that you were the smartest man in the
Yeah, but like,
world.
I don't ever go after anybody. My stuff is always about me.
look, I'm the one. None of this is started by me. All I did was finish it with documented evidence. Even Bill Colarulo, though, he's even being a little bit of Switzerland. A little bit of Switzerland.
He wants to, he's keeping to himself.
I thought a man wearing capris would be more France, but it's all right.
See, now you're going to make enemies.
Come on,
now you're going to make enemies another way.
Can't do.
And then they're going to team
Bill
up.
knows I love him.
Why are people mad at us?
Don't love
Caprice
Capri.
in
Yeah.
France.
All right, it's time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. 3 best minutes from today's show brought to us by Von C. Brewing.
Now, the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Johnny, good morning.
And a good morning to you. How you doing, buddy?
I am lovely. I was not under attack yesterday.
Yeah, I'll get into that later.
All right, so
The worst research show ever will be answered.
Wow. My buddy Jack showed me yesterday. Of course, what do we do? We talk life and then we talk sports.
And then you had a beer.
Yes, sure.
Told you.
And so he said something to me that I had to sit down and think about. He said that he's in cruise control with the...
Okay, what do you think cruise control? Did he elaborate on what that exactly means?
He did. He's basically I'm going to close my eyes, and the Eagles will be in the NFC Championship game.
Wow. Wow.
And I know that sounds crazy.
That's bold and beautiful.
But you just heard the open where we're saying we're talking NFC Championship game now, right?
Sure we are.
It says, look at the rest of the teams in the NFC. Are you legitimately concerned about any of them other than the Lions, who you would not have to face until the NFC Championship?
All right, Cardinals 3 seed? Not really. Falcons 4 seed? You shouldn't have lost them the first time. Vikings, you know how I feel about the Vikings. Packers? Mild concern.
Mild concern.
Commanders? I'm not concerned if it came down to a playoff game in Philadelphia. Rams, Seahawks, 49ers. Rams, Seahawks coming into Philadelphia in January? Mild concern at best.
Yeah, so he's in cruise control to the NFC Championship game. Let's get the positive out of the way. Joel Embiid looked better. The ramp-up period is officially over, John.
I think he went to one of those those things you watch on TV. We were just talking about it the other day, where the guy comes up and hits you on the forehead, and you get up and you start dancing. You limped up to him.
Anyways, Joel Embiid looked better, but that's it. Sixers lose. They fall to 2-12, league worst in the NBA.
People are feeling good about the Birds, and that goes to their coaching staff. That goes to their players. Like everything about it. They're just so damn solid that the Eagles, whenever they hit a pothole, I've never seen a professional organization that rebounds from potholes better than the Eagles.
Yeah.
When they fire a coach because they've had a crappy season, then they hire a new coach, usually to a lot of criticism, and then next year they bounce back and they win. They make the playoffs.
Connor and I have never seen a rebuild in Eagles franchise history. Retooling, but never a rebuild.
And to me, in a salary cap sport, that may be the greatest compliment you could ever do. I wish I could paint any kind of surprise on my face. I can't. The Sixers are who I thought they were. And I wanted them to be better.
2-12, though.
No.
Yeah,
No, but the thing is, I expected this to backfire. During the ramp-up period, I came on this radio station and said, BS meter was going off the charts. I'll just speak quickly. I was slandered yesterday on the best show ever. Complete slander. I was shocked that Tyrone Johnson did it. I actually thought that maybe Marcus Hayes was sitting in yesterday. That's how bad the reporting was on this story. I was reported by somebody, I wonder who, on a day we're talking about the Sixers having snitches in the locker room. I'm wondering who would give false information to Tyrone that I was late for a meeting. It ends up that it was Dylan McKinnon. Also Candace from Phineas and Ferb. I would expect better reporting in the future out of the best show ever. But one thing we know, like the Sixers locker room, the walls have ears around here. And they're big It's attached to Dylan McKinnon. There are 3 ways to get information out in this company. Telegraph, telephone, tell Dylan.
I know that if I need a play made by Saquon Barkley, odds are it's going to happen. I don't feel that way with the Sixers. I need a big shot. I don't feel that way right now with the Sixers. I need the team to come together and be honky-dory. I don't feel that way right now with the Sixers, but we talked about it last week. I love that this Eagles team seems to be together. You see the celebrations that they're doing on the sideline or in the end zone after an interception. I see them having fun. I see them happy. Dave Zangaro mentioned the word vibes. Connor was out that day. The V word is back.
Vibes day?
Yes, the V word is back. All right, that's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show, and that's probably the best line you've ever had.
Telegraph, telephone.
Tell Dylan.
Tell Dylan.
That was probably the best line that you've ever had.
It was in the chamber.
The 3 minutes brought to us by Von C. Brewing Company in Norristown. Check out their Key 3, the OG Pills legendary Philly Lager, which is a gold medal winner at the 2023 World Beer Cup. Best American Pilsner. It's a family recipe dating back to the 1860s. They have the Walking on Clouds, Von C's flagship hazy IPA. And Johnny?
And then they've got the Vienna Lager with all German ingredients. It's the 2-time Best of Pennsylvania winner. And if you can't get to Vienna, get to Norristown. It's very similar. It's a lot shorter, too. You don't have to take any international travel.
Maybe one day soon you'll have a pint.
Oh, it'd be nice.
With the best show ever.
That'd be nice. Yes, I would welcome that at any time. Once the apology comes across today, this afternoon, all will be forgiven for the misinformation.
I don't believe you'll be getting an apology.
Yeah, don't hold your breath on that one, John.
I don't think you're getting one, John.
Well, then you know what? They ain't getting a pint from Von C. Brewing.
They can still listen. I don't care if you hate us. You can get a pint from Von C.
They can drive the Norristown.
Then they can go by themselves.
They're not,
I will not look out for them at that point.
Yeah, well.
So
I hope they support this next thing you're going to read.
I think they do, too. I really do. I think they support life-saving cancer research.
Damn right they
Best show ever does. FT Young Heating and Air Conditioning. You can make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because I'm living proof cancer research saves lives.
So the Switzerland show is coming your way next with Mike Missanelli, Bill Colarulo, and Ray Dunn. That comes your way at 10 o'clock. A freshly shaven Ray Dunn. It scares me sometimes because he can go from full beard to just baby face, and he looks like 2 totally different people.
Ray Dunn couldn't buy a tasty cake today without getting carded. I mean, honestly. Seriously.
He looks very comfortable today, but
he's in the grout fit.
You mentioned that Mike's dressed like $1 million, right? Ray's dressed like bedtime.
Seriously, it's like Ray just looks like
we got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You think
Ray's the guy every dad though when he opens the door to the guy picking up his daughter to go to prom or whatever. The clean-shaven Ray is the guy that every father goes, oh, thank God.
Oh, yeah, maybe
nice
not in the Rocky sweatsuit.
He looks like a nice kid. Now, I don't know what he's doing today. He might be running the steps.
Well, that comes your way next. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Football Friday. I can't believe it. We'll talk to you tomorrow.